What is up, everyone? Happy Football Friday. Got the full squad back, finally. The prodigal, I don't even know what to call you.
The married man returns.
Yeah.
The prodigal man.
I was going to say picker, but you're not that far above us now in college. And we're
Yeah,
all
I
even.
somehow figured out college in my 1 year being here.
We're all even on the NFL. So, anyways, yeah, full slate of college and NFL to get to. We had one college game last night. It was not good at all. I turned it off midway through the third quarter because it was just so bad. South Carolina or South Alabama rolling App State, and yeah, I don't think Daniel Jeremiah is going to ever want to go to an App State game again. He said I saw his couple tweets about he was going to the game, and then he's like, "Yeah, wasn't great, but still had a good time." Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I expected App State to win this one, although it did help because I do have South Alabama over on their wins this season, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, I have South Alabama over 6.5 wins, so it's good for me, anyways. Even though I did bet App State on the spread, I thought that they were the much better team, especially because USA was coming in at 1-2. But yeah, Joey Aguilar, 51.2%, 266 touchdown and a pick. I was impressed by Gio Lopez. Now, not a lot of passing work, 66.7% there, 154, 2 touchdowns. Running the ball, though, the Mountaineers really couldn't stop him. 7 carries, 105 yards, touchdown, and the 1 fumble. Really the lone blemish on the night for the Jaguars. And they have this freshman running back. His name is Fluff. Fluff Bothwell is his name.
That sounds like a D&D character, like you'd make, like something in a fantasy novel or something.
Yeah. He ran pretty well last night. 14 carries, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kid's been getting it for the Jags, and yeah, they're rolling on the ground. Mikael Haywood, he scored one of App's 2 touchdowns. Kentrell Bullock and Iverson Celestine, those 2 getting touchdowns for USA as well. App State wide receiver Caden Robinson leading the game in receiving, 6 for 85. Touchdown receptions also going to his teammate wide receiver Dalton Stroman and the Jaguars wide receiver Jamal Pritchett and tight end DJ Thomas Jones. Defensively, we're wearing a lot of stats. I'm going to go with App State defensive end Santana Hopper, 3 tackles, a solo, 1 sack, 1.5 tackles for loss. USA plus 7.5 wins outright, under 62.5 by the hook. On a Monday, all right, so there's going to be not as much profanity as if we would have done this show like Tuesday. But this was horrendous. I mean, there is really no explanation for what the Eagles did at the end of this game. And it's like we went back in time and it's 2023 all over again. Literally the exact thing that happened down the stretch in 2023. However, I don't fault Nick Sirianni for throwing the ball on 3rd and 3 or whatever it was. It was 3rd and short to medium. Saquon's got to catch the fucking ball, bro. Like, it wasn't a bad pass. Hit him right on the hands. You got to catch the ball. Like, he had such a great game, such a great first 2 games. And this one play is like blacked out everything else that he's done to this point in the Eagles uniform. Mm-hmm. The only thing I would have said is like, bro, it's 3rd and 3. Run the ball. You're going to kill clock. And more than likely, either one, Saquon's going to get the first down, or two, it's going to be 4th and short, and you can go for the tush push and win the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's not being aggressive on 3rd down that I thought was wrong. I just thought that's a good 4th and short play to catch him off guard, not a 3rd and short play when there's over a minute left in the game. That was just a strange call on that end.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was Brett Coleman tweeted out, he was like, there are 3 things that can happen when you pass in that situation, and 2 of them are bad. It's like, it's like you got to eliminate the bad stuff. And the thing that I don't understand is like, I mean, they were running on them all game. It felt like, you're at 3rd and 3, like you said, Rusty, you have Saquon, and in all likelihood, you could get it into at least a tush push situation. And then if you want to be aggressive after you've led the clock down to like a minute, all for it, or running that same play. If you feel like you can get them off guard, like totally all for that. But the decision to do that on 3rd and 3 was really questionable because it led to exactly what we saw. I mean, they coughed the game away. Like, this should have been an easy win for them. And they lost.
Well, and also is like the decision early in the game. They went for it on 4th and 4 early in the game when it was 0-0. I'm like, bro, kick the field goal. Like,
yeah, you can't leave points on the board in the first half. Like, because, it's old school thinking. I get it, but if he does the old school, go for the points, we're not having this conversation. Even if he drops the ball, he makes that field goal, it's a 9-point game. It really is over. But yeah, it's just, I'm putting a lot of question marks around Nick Sirianni. And I think the biggest story of Nick Sirianni in this game didn't come from during the game. It really came afterwards. I think Nick Sirianni showed a lot of lack of leadership after the game. His post-game conference, like pointing the blame at players. He didn't lead a team meeting after the game. It was a player-led meeting. I'm like, what do you do, Nick? Like, you're a coach. Like, talk to your boys after the game. Take responsibility, even if you don't think it's your fault. The job as a coach is to take fault and just be like, yeah, I'm the fall guy. I'm the coach. Everything runs through me. We did it wrong. Not to be like, oh, my players need to do this, some things are out of my hand. And then basically just having players do player-led locker room talks after the game. It's like, that's BS, Nick. You got to be a coach. You got to be a leader. That's your job. You have to take these tough losses on the chin, talk to your players and be like, hey, I screwed up. We're going to get them next week. That's on me. Let's move on. But I think it's super weird that he decided, yeah, I'll let the players talk to themselves after this really tough loss.
Well, and the thing is, it's not even the offense. Like, bro, the defense is horrendous once again. Like, bro, like.
Yeah, who's that defensive end you got from the Jets? Hall?
Bryce Huff.
Yeah, he's done nothing so far.
He has 0 sacks through 2 games. I think he has 1 total pressure through 2 games. And his pressure rate is far below what he did as a Jet, as a part-time player. So, and for some reason, the Eagles can't stop the run. I have no clue why. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter should be the most dominant interior duo against the run in the league, and they're not. So yeah, I have no clue. Like, maybe we should just freaking throw Brandon Graham out there for a whole game instead of having him do his rotational thing. I know he's like 36 years old, but it hasn't worked so far for Vic Fangio.
Can you trade back for Hassan Reddick?
Yeah, I'm fine with just nixing that deal, and if he wants to come back to Philly, that's cool. The Jets aren't paying him, so
Just trade back the assets you gave up. Everyone walks away the same as they were before.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I have no clue what the Eagles were doing defensively, just like letting Kirk roll right down the field. And then what Darius Slay was doing on the game-winning touchdown, couldn't tell you. He's sitting there flat-footed as Drake London just runs a nonchalant out route. Like there was no drive on the receiver at all. I was like, bro, like what are you doing? You're the Eagles' best corner.
Yeah, it's like he was playing prevent defense in the red zone. It was like, what? Why are you playing back in the red zone? Prevent defense prevents winning. Stop it.
Like I understand they had to play off because it was a tight trips formation, tight bunch on the right side. So you have to play the outside and the inside guy off with the middle guy jamming just in case they cross, which they didn't. So at that point, like you got to come up and play your receiver. And he didn't do anything. He just let him walk right in and catch the ball quite easily. And then even on top of that, and then you're like, okay, I was like, all right, that's fine. Eagles had 37 seconds. I think they had like 2 timeouts or whatever. Maybe no, I don't remember. No timeouts. I don't know. But I'm like, they have enough time. Jake Elliott's one of the best kickers in the league, long of 61 on his career. I was like, they don't have to get very far. And they did complete the first pass. And then I'm like, bro, like, what is Jalen doing on the game-ending interception? I understand he was pressured, but when you look at the play, he never should have thrown that in the first place. Devontae wasn't open. he should have just thrown the ball away and lived to fight the next play. So, yeah, it was compounding mistakes from about the 1.5 minute mark on by the Eagles' entire team. So,
and I just think feels like the theme from last year. It's like they'd have solid games, crunch time hits, and they forget how to play.
Yeah. You know what's crazy now? I think Kirk Cousins has now won like 4 straight on Monday Night Football. So, just saying.
Dude.
The Monday Night
nightmare is figuring it out.
Primetime Kirko?
Primetime Kirko chains.
It is.
I had the Falcons winning the division.
So did I.
Dude, how about them Saints though? They came out
at 8-9 though. Or no, I gave them a couple more wins whenever they got Judon.
I think you said like 10-7 or something.
Yeah,
the worst 9-8.
Yeah. Yeah, Falcons plus 5.5 went outright 22-21, under 46.5. Yeah, so Kirk Cousins 69%, 241, 2 touchdowns. To be honest though, the Falcons really should have ran away with this game. That's one thing. The only thing the Eagles defense has done well this season so far through 2 games, red zone defense, other than the game-winning touchdown, like red zone defensively, they have been pretty good. Logan knows Packers game.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, man, we're both in the same boat. We're both 1-1 now. So.
Can't relate.
Oh, you'll relate after this week.
Oh, I will. I know.
Jimmy's riding a high right now. Jeez.
Dude, I have so much fake hope.
But yeah, so red zone. I remember the one drive. I think it was the one right before halftime when the Falcons kicked the field goal. I was like astounded by what the Falcons were doing. Like they had all the time in the world, and they had 3 plays in a row. They threw it. I was like, bro, like you've been running Bijan for like 6 yards a carry. And like you had plenty of time to run the ball. And they threw it 3 times and kicked a field goal. I was like, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Jalen Hurts, 76.7%, 183, 1 touchdown, a pick, 13 carries, 85 yards, touchdown. I don't know if they necessarily missed AJ because the offense was working pretty well. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think they like severely missed AJ Brown or?
I did because he's on my fantasy team.
So did I, yeah.
But no, I mean, Devontae Smith filled in very well, and the Eagles did a very good job of getting the run game going. I think they'll survive with him being out for a couple weeks. I think they have a good enough roster that they should eke out some wins even without AJ.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd like to see a little bit more out of Dallas Goedert now that AJ Brown's out. Obviously they use AJ Brown in much different ways. They're not going to really put Dallas Goedert out on the boundary, but like as that kind of big bodied dude, maybe hopefully stepping up as like the secondary target. But yeah, I mean, I think Devonta Smith will hold it down. I mean, he'd be a wide receiver one on a lot of teams, I think. So I think he'll be able to hold it down. They'll be able to win, without AJ Brown.
Yeah. And 13 carries, 85 yards, a rushing touchdown for Jalen Hurts. I kind of knew this was coming. I think I said this to Logan on Friday, or on Monday, that I saw Jalen start to run the ball a lot in that game-winning drive against the Packers, and I was like, all right, Jalen he looks good now. And I think he's fully healthy finally, and we saw it running all over the place against the Falcons. I think we're back to 2022 Jalen Hurts, except we still have the 2023 turnovers for Jalen, but if he can get that corrected, I think I'm not worried about the offense. The offense I'm not worried about. It's the defense. Can the defense hold it down when they need to? They did it week 1. Weren't able to do it this week. So, and not a great opponent to go against this coming weekend. So Bijan actually led the game in rushing, though. 14 carries, 97 yards. Caught 4 of his 5 targets for 25 yards. Saquon, though, back-to-back games as an Eagle with over 100 scrimmage. Darnell Mooney led the game in receiving on my bench. 3 catches, 88 yards, touchdown on 7 targets. That's the thing, though. Catching only 3 of 7. Not great. Devontae got 10 targets. He caught 7 for 76 and a touchdown. Drake London also caught a touchdown, the game winner on one of his 7 targets. And defensively, it's Jesse Bates, 12 tackles, 7 solos, 1 tackle for loss, 2 pass defense, then a pick, the game ender there. I already said the Falcons covered, went outright and under. Last night, the Jets dominant 24-3. Aaron Rodgers, first full game, first game back at MetLife since the Achilles tear last year. And I'll go to Logan. This looked like classic A-Rod here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was looking good. I think I forget which podcast I was listening to, but I think it was Nate Tice who kind of pointed out through the first 2 weeks, Rodgers looked kind of uncomfortable, especially kind of rolling out of the pocket and targeting downfield, which is just something he has a penchant for. He did not look uncomfortable in this game. He looked very spry on those legs, especially for a 40-year-old dude. And he was definitely pushing the ball downfield, which, was good to see.
Felt good starting him in fantasy. I had a choice to make. It was him or Herbert. I went, all right, I'm going to Raj. Felt good about my decision. Got me 19 points.
Yeah. Well, now Herb's banged up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Herb's is questionable. That's why I kind of made the choice. Plus, the Steelers' defense is insanely good. I'm like, all right, I gotta go with Raj here.
Yeah, I had Aaron in a league. Got played against him in another league, so that wasn't great. But we'll see how the weekend goes. I'm starting Minshew in one of my leagues because of Herbert's banged up, and my other quarterback was Tua, so he's on IR. So
Ooh, yeah.
not a good
I got Gardner on a dynasty league, but I have Burrow and Goff, so I'm like, I'm not ready to play him quite yet.
Yeah, he's against the Panthers. Good matchup this week.
It is. That's why I'm still on edge. That's why I can't remember who it was. I think I'm playing I'm actually playing Chuba Hubbard this week just because I'm like, Andy Dalton will hand the ball off more.
Yeah, so into the stats last night. A-Rod 77.1%, 281, 2 touchdowns, 3 carries, 18 yards. That was the shocking statistic for me. 3 carries, 18 yards. When's the last time Aaron Rodgers had over 15 rushing yards in a game?
Dude, Aaron Vick out here? Lamar Rodgers out there?
Number 8. New number 8.
Great.
I was very happy because DraftKings gave everyone a boost. It was Fanatics Sportsbook. They gave a boost to plus. I think it was like plus 300 actually. That it was Aaron to get 100 plus passing in each half, which he did. So just by a little bit. Jacoby Brissett 66.7%, 98 yards. That's very paltry. 98 yards on 12 completions. Man, that's rough. Drake May did come into the game, played a drive at the end, 50%, 4 of 8, 22 yards, 2 carries for 12 yards. I enjoyed watching Drake May. He looked pretty good. I was kind of mad though at Gerard Mayo. I thought they were going to call a timeout at the end. I would have.
Same. I was like, oh man, you're driving your zone. Yeah. I was so pissed. I was like, come on, give this kid a chance to put the ball in the end zone, gain some confidence. Like, why aren't you going for it?
Genuinely, I think they would have if that play wasn't a sack.
Maybe, but still, it wasn't like he got whacked. He just got brought down. I don't know. That's just me. I thought they should have just tried again.
Honestly, my biggest takeaway from this game is like the roster that's in place, like in New England. Like, I don't know what the Bengals were doing week 1, but I mean, like this is pretty bad, and like unfortunately now it seems increasingly apparent to everybody that they're not starting Jacoby Brissett because he won the QB1 spot and they feel like they have a better chance to win with him over May. They're starting him because they don't have an O-line in place right now.
Yeah, it's really
they don't want to break Drake May.
It's really bad, and that's why I think it was smart not to start Drake May. I look at this Patriots roster and I think these are just a ton of rotational guys. Wide receiver 2 and 3s, tight end 2 and 3s, rotational offensive linemen. Their defense is okay, but like their offense is just at best just a ton of rotational guys like Polk, KJ Osborne. I mean, even like Antonio Gibson. Other than Stevenson, I don't see anyone that I would be like, all right, this is a clear number 1 starter guy. Yeah,
my question is, what was Ramondre Stevenson thinking when he signed his extension?
Money.
No, but this is why I know I had the Patriots as the second worst record in the league this year, at 3-14.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, and I totally agree with not starting May because it's like I think I said in a couple like maybe my last podcast before I went on my wedding/honeymoon. It was just like, damn, like he's got no one to throw to. He's got no one to help him. Why would you throw him to the dogs when he has no help?
Yeah, Jimmy, you had them tied for the second worst record, but it was technically.
I think I had Tennessee as the worst.
Well, you had Tennessee, Carolina, and
the Patriots. That's
the right. Giants at 4-13, and then right. you had the Patriots at 5-12 there.
That's right.
With the Commanders.
Definitely had them at bottom 5. Definitely a bottom feeder team. Yeah. Didn't expect them to win against the Bengals, though. That was a shocker.
For sure. But the good thing for the Patriots is that there's some good tackles next year. to get at the top of the board. So
yeah, they're in a position where it's like, hey, we have our QB, now we just get him guys to protect him.
Or if you can move back a little bit for QB teams that want to come up, never know.
Oh yeah, you can get the Raiders, maybe the Giants that are calling.
Yeah, so the rest of this one here, Braylon Allen, how about that? Leading the game in rushing. Badger there. 11 carries, 55 yards, 3 catches, 13 yards. The youngest player in the league in the same backfield as the oldest player in the league.
Yep.
Brees Hall getting in the end zone. Thank you, sir. I live betted that with the live profit boost from DraftKings, who should just start sponsoring us because I name drop them all the time. The Jets, tight end Tyler Conklin, best game so far. 5 catches, 93 yards on 6 targets. Touchdowns from A-Rod going to Alan Lazard and Garrett Wilson. Thank you for that as well. I had Garrett Wilson in fantasy on an otherwise not great night for him. Defensively, dude, Will McDonald's a beast. Second year, and he's eating. He has, 5.5 sacks in the last 2 games?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he had a hat trick last week, which is crazy.
Yeah. 3 tackles, 1 solo, 2 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, 4 QB hits. Jets -6.5 covered, under 39.5. Yeah, I thought for sure the Patriots defense was going to hold this one down. I thought 6.5 was quite a lot for them. But obviously I was really wrong. All right. No breaking news, right? You think? No one's got anything.
I'm scrolling Twitter. I'm not seeing anything
Pressing. All right. College football news. This is the most college football news I think we've had in a long time. It's all about injuries, though, pretty much, to marquee players. So, big news, Georgia dealing with 2 injuries. Their best offensive lineman, Tate Ratledge, he had tightrope surgery, so he's going to be out multiple weeks. I think the hope for Georgia, obviously they're going to bye this week. They got Bama next week in Tuscaloosa. Obviously, he's not going to be ready by then. Brock Bowers miraculously came back from tightrope last year in like a month. So that's probably the best case. I know it's a lot tougher for offensive linemen just because of the weight and the amount of movement that you need with your legs. So I think the hope is that he can get back before they go to Texas, because that's their next marquee game after Alabama. So Texas is on October 19th. So it would be, little bit over a month to get to the Texas game. I don't know. Maybe that's being optimistic for him to get back, but that would be my target for him anyways. Because if they can have him for the Texas and the Ole Miss game and the Tennessee games, I think those are ones that they need him. Their quarterback, Carson Beck, also dealing with an injury, sprained AC joint. Luckily, again, he has 2 weeks to get fully healthy with the bye this week, going to Alabama next weekend. So not worried about that one. Neither is Kirby. How about former Raiders coach John Gruden looking to get back in, except he's coming into college.
He's back, baby.
Wants to get a college coaching job next season. I just can't see it.
Listen, man, when Ryan Day is finally thrown out of Columbus, we got to back up.
Well, for one, I think John Gruden might be worse than Urban Meyer. And for 2, he got canceled in the NFL. Like, how quickly do you think he would get canceled in college?
Yeah, I had a Twitter exchange with Arif Hassan, who covers the Vikings, and he was saying, like, is Gruden sure that he wants to, go to a public institution? Because then people can do Freedom of Information Act on his emails. And then I said, if Marcus Freeman drops another one at Notre Dame, they might do something nasty. They might do something nasty, do something dangerous.
Dude, John Gruden's going to convert to Catholicism.
Right? You can see the redemption arc there, can't you?
Dude, I see it. I believe it now. Dude, I want it.
I don't think Chucky and Notre Dame go well together. So.
You never know.
Penn State's big loss. Safety Kevin Winston. He is out with a long-term injury. Maybe not consensus at this point, but many people have Kevin Winston as the number one safety coming into this year's draft class. So big injury for the Penn State defense. We'll see how Tom Allen adjusts the lineup there in Happy Valley. Obviously not a big issue this week. Kent State coming to Penn State, so it's all good. Florida wide receiver Eugene Wilson. He is out this week, lower body injury, and it's getting late pretty early in Gainesville for Billy Napier there. They are facing Mississippi State. They're at Mississippi State. Somehow Florida's a 7-point favorite. Can't tell you how, but sure. Probably because Mississippi State got boat raced by Toledo last week.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they lost to a MAC team.
Whoa.
Oh.
MAC is real.
No disrespect to
Never
MAC.
disrespect Maction.
Texas, the Longhorns, they're going with Arch Manning this week. Quinn Ewers dealing with the oblique strain. Expected. We already talked about that on Monday there. And, like I said, I expect Quinn Ewers maybe miss 2 games because they can afford it. They play Mississippi State next week after they play UL Monroe, and then they have a bye. So Quinn Ewers he's going to be fine when they need him, which I don't think they will need him for the next couple of weeks based off the opponents they're playing. Another big injury, East Carolina corner Siobhan Revel Jr. Torn ACL, done for the season. He was a projected first-round pick. To be honest, I have heard of him, but I haven't watched. I mean, I don't know who watches East Carolina.
Hey, whoa, okay. We can't throw shade at Maction, but we're throwing shade at Eastern Carolina. What is this?
Dude, they're one of the worst teams in the American. What do you mean? Have you watched Siobhan Revel?
Exclusively. It's all I watch.
And North Carolina making a quarterback change, playing James Madison this week. We'll have that game later, but they're going to former North Carolina quarterback Jacoby Criswell. Went to Arkansas last year, back at UNC this year, and so he will take over for Connor Harrell this week. I think it made sense for Mac Brown. Obviously, Criswell knows the offense stuff and also gives them more of a dual threat than what Harrell gave them. UFL news. We got the official start date for the United Football League. Mark your calendars. March 28th is the open air for the UFL 2025 season. And they're going to play Friday night games this year quite a bit. So watch out for those whenever the schedule gets released. A couple signings. Brahmas re-signing wide receiver John Trey Kirkland, punter Brad Wayne, quarterback Kevin Hogan. Michigan Panthers re-signing safety Corian Ballard, defensive end TJ Carter, defensive tackle Walter Palmore, all integral pieces of that defense, especially I love me some Corian Ballard there. The Roughnecks, they re-signed quarterback Nolan Henderson, and one UFL to NFL signing, the Lions. They signed defenders kicker Matthew McCrane to their practice squad. So 2 UFL kickers now on the Lions with Jake Bates, their starter there. All right, NFL news: the Steelers once again going with Justin Fields this week, as expected. Russell Wilson still not 100 yet, but that, I know I've been a Fields detractor his entire career, but to be honest, he's not playing well. He's not playing bad. He's not.
It ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean,
And they're 2-0. So
you win games with Fields. You win games with Fields. That's all you need.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'll give Fields a lot of credit for. He doesn't make the dumb mistakes he made in Chicago. He's not great. He just doesn't make stupid mistakes.
The Hall of Fame announced its 167 modern era nominees. Now I know y'all might have seen the script and said, "Wow, he really put all 167 on there." I did not. I put most of the 167 on there, but guys that I knew. That is really who I put on there. Just we're gonna run through each position. I'm gonna list them off real quick, and then I'm gonna say guys who I think have a chance this year. And then if you guys want to say who you think has a chance, or if you like any guys for this year's class, let me know. So quarterback, Rams, Mark Bulger, Eagles, Randall Cunningham, Panthers, Jake Delhomme, Eagles, Donovan McNabb, Giants, Eli Manning. He is a first ballot guy. Titans, Steve McNair, and the Cowboys, Tony Romo. I don't have any of those quarterbacks in this year.
Yeah, I don't either. I feel like the one person that has maybe the best argument is Eli Manning, but he's just not a first ballot guy. I'd honestly be almost offended if Eli Manning was a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I think they're gonna do it. He's got the name. It's a brand franchise. And I mean, look, I think Eli's last couple of years obviously hurt the legacy a little bit. He wasn't very good at football.
Here's the problem, though. It wasn't like he was ever great. Even in those 2 Super Bowl wins, he just didn't blow you away. He's like, who was the guy I compared him to a while back? Rusty. He's the guy that won the Super Bowl with the Raiders twice. Jim Plunkett. He's like Jim Plunkett. He's a guy that was good enough to let the rest of his team win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, he is the only player I believe on that quarterback list to win a Super Bowl. I can't remember if Mark Bulger was on the Rams team. I think he was too young.
He was too late. I think he was drafted like in 2002, 2003.
Okay.
He was a little bit late.
Running backs, Seahawks, Sean Alexander, Ravens, Jamal Anderson, Giants, Tiki Barber, Chiefs, Jamal Charles, Falcons, Warwick Dunn, Titans, Eddie George, Chiefs, Priest Holmes, Rams, Steven Jackson, Titans, Chris Johnson, Jets, Thomas Jones, Packers, fullback, John Kuhn, Texans, fullback, Vontae Leach, Ravens, Jamal Lewis, Seahawks, Marshawn Lynch, first ballot there, Chargers, fullback, Lorenzo Neal, Redskins, Clinton Portis, Eagles, Darren Sproles, he is a first ballot, Jaguars, Fred Taylor, he was a finalist last year, Eagles, Ricky Waters, Dolphins, Ricky Williams. The 2 I have circled on that, Sean Alexander, I think he has the stats to back it up. He's decently high on the career rushing yards mark. And Fred Taylor, obviously, he was a finalist last year. So I think he's my other guy at running back that I would say.
Yeah, this is a stacked area. I think it'd be very tough. I have 4 in here 5 who I think are eventually going to be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe 1 or 2 this year, but I have the 2 you mentioned, Sean Alexander, Fred Taylor, and I have Priest Holmes and Steven Jackson. I think those guys are so underrated for what they did in the NFL. Their peaks are unreal, especially Priest Holmes. And then, of course, Marshawn Lynch, I think will eventually get in. I don't think he's a first ballot guy, but I think Marshawn Lynch has the pedigree to get in. So those 5, I would say, probably 1, maybe 2 this year. And the 1 and 2, I would say, are probably Sean Alexander and Fred Taylor. But yeah, those other 3 I mentioned, I think will eventually get in.
Yeah, I would say only John Kuhn and John Kuhn exclusively. I think all the other guys are bums, not deserving. I think I'm with you, Jimmy. There's definitely a lot of talent on that list. Eddie George and Marshawn, I think, were 2 guys that really stood out to me as potentially deserving. Marshawn, because it's his first time up, I'm not sure they're going to give him that first ballot nod. But yeah, I think he ends up in there eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Rolling on to wideouts, Cardinals, Anquan Bolden, Packers, Donald Driver, Patriots, Irving Fryer, Rams, Torrey Holt, who was a finalist last year, Bengals, Chad Johnson, Broncos, Brandon Marshall, Ravens, Derek Mason, Panthers, Musa Muhammad, Packers, Jordy Nelson, Falcons, Andre Rison, Panthers, Steve Smith Sr., Broncos, Demarius Thomas, who is a first ballot, RIP, DT. Steelers, Hines Ward, Colts, Reggie Wayne. He was a finalist last year. Patriots, Wes Welker, and Falcons, Roddy White. So here's where I started circling a lot of guys.
Oh, yeah.
Guys I had circled were Anquan Bolden, Torrey Holt, Steve Smith Sr., Hines Ward, and Reggie Wayne. Those are the 5 I have from that list. I just think Steve Smith Sr., I think, is the sneaky one. I feel like a lot of people don't realize how good he was on both the Panthers and the Ravens. He just, he didn't win a championship, so it's kind of a detractor there. But.
Yeah, he was just like the king of consistency. Just to add to that list, I think the only one I would really add, actually only 2 I'd really add, I feel like Chad Johnson, just based on just what he brought to the league and who he was as a player, I think is just pretty impressive, and I think his resume is way super underrated. And another guy I'm honestly shocked he's not in now, Andre Rison. That guy was a beast in the 90s. I'm really shocked I'm reading his name now. I just assumed he was already in. So, yeah, I think Rison and Johnson could be added very comfortably to that list.
Because he played the majority of his career with the Falcons, that's why.
Yeah, it's true. But, yeah, but even with the Falcons, he was a dog. I mean, I think if I had my choice, I'd pick Rison, Smith Sr., and Wayne this year, and I would just go with those 3.
Yeah, the 2 that I really like are Steve Smith Jr. and Reggie Wayne. Steve Smith, I think, for sure has the resume. Several 1,000-yard seasons. In 2005, he led the league in receptions, reception yards, and reception touchdowns. 5-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, and 2005 Comeback of the Year. I think he has the stuff. Like you said, Rusty, he didn't get that ring, but I mean, in terms of individual dudes, Steve Smith, I think is up there with the greats and belongs in the Hall.
On to tight ends. There weren't a lot of tight ends, really. 49ers, Vernon Davis, he's a first ballot. Chargers, Antonio Gates, he was a finalist last year. Giants, Jeremy Shockey. Titans, Delaney Walker is a first ballot as well. The only guy is Antonio Gates. I mean, how he's not in already is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think Antonio Gates is one of those guys that's just overshadowed by, a guy like Tony Gonzalez of his era. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think Gates will eventually get in. I think Vernon may get in eventually, probably not this year, but I think Vernon may have a long-term argument. But yeah, other than that, Shockey just didn't have the long-term success. Did he win a Super Bowl with the Saints in 2009? I think he might have. I think he
was on that team, yeah.
I think he might have. So he maybe has the ring argument. And then Delaney Walker, I don't really see much there.
Dude, I loved Jeremy Shockey growing up. I wish I could make that argument because he is just awesome. Yeah, I mean, Antonio Gates, I think, is the only one that has a real solid argument, especially being part of that all 2000s Hall of Fame team. That's a really pretty good feather in your cap to be part of the Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let's go to O-line. Bengals offense tackle Willie Anderson was a finalist last year. Ravens center Matt Burke. Saints guard Jari Evans, finalist last year. Cowboys center Travis Frederick, he's a first ballot. Panthers offense tackle Jordan Gross. Panthers center Ryan Khalil's a first ballot. Packers guard TJ Lang. Jets center Nick Mangold. Patriots guard Logan Mankins. Colts center Jeff Saturday. Giants guard Chris Snee. 49ers offensive tackle Joe Staley's a first ballot, as is Ravens guard Marshall Yanda. Those are two of my guys, Yanda and Staley. Jari Evans, finalist last year. I think he's Travis Frederick, the other first ballot, another first ballot lineman. I think has a really good shot. Colts center Jeff Saturday is my other O line there. Just being the model of consistency with the entire time, with Peyton Manning in Indy. But I think out of all those guys, Joe Staley's the guy I think will get in first ballot this year.
Yeah, I have no disagreements, and there's no one else on the list I really feel like very passionate about. Yeah, it's a very good list, offensive lineman here.
Yeah, I like Staley, I like Saturday, and I think Nick Mangold might have a case too. I mean, there was a time there where he was like the unanimous number one center in the league for like a good few seasons there. So
I'm on to D-line. Falcons defensive end John Abraham. Vikings defensive end Jared Allen was a finalist last year. Steelers nose tackle Casey Hampton. Colts defensive end Robert Mathis. Ravens defensive tackle Haloti Ngata. Giants defensive end Justin Tucken. Patriots nose tackle Vince Wilfork. I circled Jared Allen, Haloti Ngata, and Vince Wilfork. Definitely think Jared Allen should get in this year. The other two guys, I just think Ngata was, if not the most dominant, like one of the most dominant of his time on interior D line. And I mean, Wilfork was just an immovable force for New England and Houston. So,
yeah, Wilfork really was also just famous for his personality. That's always something that'll help. Same with Jared Allen. I think Jared Allen is like, I would almost say a lock for this year. I'd be super shocked if he didn't. I think the only one other name that I think could maybe make an argument is Robert Mathis. I know he had a pretty good argument last year. I think he has maybe a chance. I think he's like border Hall of very good to Hall of Fame. We'll just see what voters think. But I think Mathis may have a decent argument.
yeah, I'd love to keep denying the Hall to Jared Allen just because of all the havoc he wrecked on my Packers teams. But I mean, like 4-time All-Pro, like there was that 1 year he went off for like, what was it, like 20-ish sacks. Like he's deserving, I think.
Yeah, and like I think he retired at the time of like 8th most career sacks in the NFL. He might have been passed since then, but like he was like top 10 by the time he retired.
Yeah, he's up there for sure.
Yeah.
I think Robert Mathis, I think the only detractor thing for him, I don't know where he is on the career sacks list, but I don't know if it helps though that Freeney's getting in this year. I think he got overshadowed all the time though because he played with Dwight Freeney. Mm-hmm. So I think that was his biggest thing. And now that Freeney's in this year, maybe Mathis has a better shot now.
Yeah, we'll see. Jared Allen is 12th all time at 136. Let's see where I don't see Mathis in the top 20. Oh, Mathis is 20th at 123. So I think, and he's right behind his teammate Dwight Freeney, and he's only 2.5 sacks behind Freeney.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Mathis has a good argument.
On to linebackers, Bears Lance Briggs, 49ers Navarro Bowman, Patriots Teddy Bruschi, Steelers James Farrier, Redskins London Fletcher, Steelers James Harrison, Panthers Luke Kuechly, first ballot, Patriots Willie McGinnis, 49ers Takeo Spikes, Ravens Terrell Suggs, first ballot, and Patriots Mike Vrabel. I have Navarro Bowman, James Harrison, Luke Kuechly, and Terrell Suggs. I think Luke Kuechly's a lock to get in first ballot. He was the most dominant, even in a short career. Definitely the number one linebacker in his 7-year or 8-year, whatever it was, career.
Yeah, he was the best.
James Harrison, I think, eventually should get in. Granted, he racked up a lot of sacks because of longevity, but I mean, he's the owner of one of the most pivotal plays in Super Bowl history, and just the career sack numbers, I think, as well.
Yeah, I like your list. I would throw more credence to London Fletcher. I feel like he was one of those guys that was unbelievable on a lot of really bad teams for most of his career. But I think Fletcher he was an awesome player in his prime, and he played a very long time at a very high level. So I would give a lot of credence to Fletcher here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Kuechly is, of the first ballot guys we talked about, I think he's the first that's like a lock, I think, to get that first ballot nod.
Yeah.
Defensive backs, Eagles corner Eric Allen was a finalist last year. Chief safety Eric Berry, Colts safety Antoine Bethea is a first ballot. Lions corner Dre Bly, Seahawks safety Cam Chancellor, Chargers corner Antonio Cromartie, Redskins corner D'Angelo Hall, Patriots safety Rodney Harrison, who was a finalist last year. Colts safety Bob Sanders, Bucks corner Aqib Talib is a first ballot, as is Seahawks safety Earl Thomas, Bears corner Charles Tillman, Eagles corner Troy Vincent, and Cowboys safety Darren Woodson was a first ballot last year. I only have two off the DB list, and it's Rodney Harrison and Darren Woodson, the two of the finalists from last year. I think Harrison might finally get in this year. I think it's pretty close though between him and Woodson.
Yeah, it's a pretty good list. I think the only one I might give a little bit more to add, maybe Peanut Tillman, just because of just how efficient he was, and like there's basically a play named after him.
Impact on the game, yeah.
Yeah, his impact on the game is so great. I think Tillman's a pretty underrated one. But yeah, I like the two you mentioned. This is a tough position because right now it really feels like it's all very good for a lot of these names.
You know what would be interesting would be to put Peanut Tillman in, not as a player, but as a contributor.
Dude, the peanut punch, man. Everyone knows it.
Yeah, I would add in, I think, Cam Chancellor. I think not this year, but I think that eventually he will get in. I think, the Hall, does put a lot on like the story and like him being such a big part of the Legion of Boom, like a defense that kind of dominated an era of football. I think they'll give him a nod at some point.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
He might be one of those like legacy put-ins, like maybe years down the line.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one with Chancellor and now Earl Thomas being eligible. Like, which one's gonna go first?
I'd say Chancellor. I think the problem with Earl Thomas is definitely the way he left the league. I mean,
I love the way he left the game.
Oh yeah, I mean he was a character, but I think that's kind of the character. As much as I hate to say it, a lot of like voters might be turned off to it, just the way he acted. I mean, I have no problem with it, but voters might, and I think that's something he has to overcome.
What better way to leave the game than on a cart flicking your team off?
Yeah. But that's the problem. It's his lasting image, and I think that's going to play against him.
All right, on to specialists. Punters, kickers. Eagles kicker David Akers. Steelers kicker Gary Anderson. Broncos kicker Jason Elam. Giants punter Jeff Fiegels. Lions kicker Jason Hansen. Panthers kicker John Casey. Raiders punter Shane Leckler. Colts punter Pat McAfee. Ravens kicker Matt Stover. Texans punter Matt Turk. Colts kicker Mike Vanderjagt. And Patriots, I had to put Patriots / Colts because he was dominant with both. Kicker Adam Vinatieri. First ballot. Dude, I'm on the Adam Vinatieri first ballot. Put the kicker in. I don't care.
100%. I mean, he's the all-time score leader. I mean, I can't argue against it. It's Vinatieri.
And he's the most clutch kicker of all time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's Vinatieri. I'm sorry. He's won 2 Super Bowls on his kicks. Like, 2 Super Bowls ended because he made a kick.
And he's a 4-time Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, I mean, 4-time Super Bowl champion, unbelievable career that lasted like 20 years, most points in NFL history. I mean, you don't see specialists making first ballot often, but Vinatieri is an obvious pick in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm usually all for the bully the specialists approach, like bully the kickers, make them feel inferior. But he's just so part of the fabric of like the story of the NFL. Like it's just point blank, like a lot of those Patriot teams, like you can't write that story without him making like an important kick or, just something like that. So
Quick question.
Tom Brady didn't start the Patriots dynasty. It was Adam Vinatieri.
It was. He
in
made
the
that
AFC
kick and it
Championship
started
game
off.
against Oakland.
Oh yeah,
When he made the kick against Oakland in the
in
AFC
those
Championship
weather
game.
conditions, insane.
Right. That is
Tom-
what set them off.
I'll have you know, Tom Brady knew they were going to call the tuck rule, and that was Tom Brady elevating his team.
You don't understand how cerebral
Yeah.
Tom Brady is. But yeah.
Oh, was that like when he knew about the footballs? Is that the same?
Oh, wow. The Colts lost
Allegedly.
40 points and they deflated the balls in the second half. Wow.
And then there's two special teamers up for the Hall as well. Browns wide receiver Josh Cribbs and Redskins running back Brian Mitchell. I don't think either has a chance.
I don't think so either. Let's
because like Josh Cribbs is like Devin Hester light.
Yeah.
And Devin's getting in this year, which I all for that. Josh Cribbs just didn't have that type of impact.
He wasn't game changing the way Devin was. Quick question: was Gary Anderson the same Viking Gary Anderson?
Yes.
Oh shit, he's not in.
He played for like a million years. Yeah.
I'm surprised he's not in. I mean, he was kind of a longevity guy.
Well, his brother's in, but he just wasn't as good as Morton.
I don't know. I mean, he was pretty great in his prime. I'm kind of surprised there. And I guess this may not be popular, but I feel like Pat McAfee's going to get in for contributor just because of what he became after the game. Plus, he was just
the only thing though, I think Pat McAfee. Well, I think he'll definitely get into College Football Hall of Fame because of how good he was at West Virginia.
Mhm.
But even if he doesn't get in as a player in college, I think he would get in. I think he's more of a contributor college because he's on College Game Day and does all the college football stuff.
That could be it. But I mean, he was also called like the punter of the decade of the 2010s. You know, so I mean,
he was really good.
He was really good. I mean,
career.
Yeah.
Keep Pat McAfee away from the game I love.
I'm sorry.
We have too much.
It's inevitable, Logan. He's going to get it.
So the way that this is going to go now from here, they're going to cut it down to 50. That's like it's like the roster cut downs in the one day that they do roster cuts now from 90 to 53, except they got to go from 167 to 50 in mid-October. Then they're going to go to 25 and then 15. And then there's going to be 20 finalists in total for the 2025 class. 15 modern era, 3 seniors, 1 coach, and 1 contributor. The modern era finalists, that's going to go 15 to 10 to 7. And then the voters are going to vote for 5 out of the 7. And there can be a total of 3 to 5 modern era candidates in the class. You have to get 80% vote in order to be a member of the class, though.
Do we want to guess our 5? Because I got a couple off the top of my head I think are going to be the 5.
Sure. Go ahead.
I got Vinatieri, Kuechly, Jared Allen, and then this is going to be a tough one. I'm going to go Steve Smith Sr., and then I'm going to go Fred Taylor. Those are my 5. Fred Taylor, Jared Allen, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, and Steve Smith Sr.
Logan?
I second that, except besides, I would swap Fred Taylor out with Eli. Like I said, I think they're going to do it.
You think they're going to do it?
I think they're going to, whether or not I agree with it, like I see both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy has definitely made his feelings known and persuaded that. But yeah, I just think they're going to do it.
I'm in the same boat with Jimmy, except I am swapping Steve Smith out for Joe Staley.
Ah, okay. Seems like we all have like the same 4, and then it's just one that might push it.
Yeah. All right. Players of the week last week. AFC offense went to Bills running back James Cook, 3 touchdowns in the Thursday night game last week. AFC defense, Raiders defensive end Max Crosby, dominant against the Ravens last week. Special teams player went to Texans kicker Kaimi Fairbairn, a couple field goals. First player ever, I believe, in NFL history to kick 3 field goals of 50-plus yards in each of their first 2 games. I think that's the stat. Could be wrong. I don't know. NFC offense, Saints running back Alvin Kamara. It was a 4-touchdown game against Dallas last weekend. Defense went to Falcons safety Jesse Bates. Game-sealing interception, 2-pass defense as well against Philly on Monday. And then the special teams, My favorite player of the players of the week this week. Commanders kicker Austin Seibert single-handedly winning the game. 7 field goals for a guy that just signed last week.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how the Commanders are playing just dishonorable football right now? Like it's just
yucky football is what I like to call it.
This is not what Mike Leach died for. Like this version of the air raid that Cliff Kingsbury is putting out is not what Mike Leach wanted. Yeah. I don't know.
Well,
but yeah, I mean, good for us and Seibert. Like, way to do it. Like,
Dane Daniels is never anyone to throw to, by the way.
Washington Commanders, I will send you a 4th round pick for Austin Seibert.
IR. So the Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa dealing with concussion can return week 8. We'll see if he does. Packers rookie running back Marshawn Lloyd dealing with an ankle injury. Colts defensive tackle DeForest Buckner also with an ankle. Giants kicker Graham Gano with a hamstring. That's what cost the Giants the game last week because they didn't have Gano. Got injured on the opening kickoff, and they didn't have a kicker for the entire game, so they had to go for it on 4th down and for 2-point conversions because Jamie Gillen tried one, and it did not go very well. Chiefs running back Isaiah Pacheco fractured fibula, so a couple months probably for Pacheco. I think that 6 to 8 weeks was his timeline there. Texans tight end Brevin Jordan, Rams offensive lineman Jonah Jackson, and safety John Johnson III. Broncos offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey, and the Jets defensive end Jermaine Johnson torn Achilles. He's done for the year. Injuries. Colts rookie edge rusher Laiatu Latu. He has a hip injury listed as day to day. The Jags tight end Evan Ingram. He has a hamstring. TBD to see if he's going to play on Monday or not. And then the 49ers corner Travarius Ward. He has a hamstring and knee injuries. Ins and outs. It's one of my favorite segments on Friday. Browns tight end David Njoku deal with an ankle. He is out once again. Bad news for anyone that claimed Kareem Hunt on waivers this week. He is not going to be elevated this week. He's going to stay on the practice squad. Bears wide receiver Keenan Allen dealing with a heel injury. He is out again. Rookie wide receiver Roma Dunze with a knee. He is going to play, though. Giants edge rusher Brian Burns, questionable with a groin injury, just popped up today. Vikings, Jimmy, wide receiver Jordan Addison dealing with an ankle, and rookie edge rusher Dallas Turner with a knee injury. Those guys are both out. And wide receiver Justin Jefferson dealing with a quad contusion. He is going to play.
Yeah. Also, Ivan Pace Jr., linebacker, I think has been confirmed out as well. So,
Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, questionable with a high ankle sprain. Got the Packers, Logan quarterback Jordan Love, MCL sprain, questionable. Could play, though. They said he might.
Yeah, I think that's gamesmanship, to be honest with you. He's been limited in practice, and I don't think they're going to put him out there if he's been limited. I think it'd be a different conversation if they dropped one to the Colts and were 0-2.
Yeah.
But you already stole one. No need to rush, I don't think.
Dude, just keep beating the AFC South. It's fine. Also with the Packers, corner Carrington Valentine with an ankle. He is doubtful, and rookie offensive lineman Jordan Morgan with a shoulder is out. For the Texans, running back Joe Mixon with an ankle injury. He is doubtful. And running back Damian Pierce with a hamstring. He is out. So Cam Akers gets started at running back this week. 49ers tight end George Kittle with a hamstring tightness. He is doubtful. The Seahawks running back Kenneth Walker III, oblique injury. He is doubtful as well. Eagles already ruled out wide receiver A.J. Brown once again this week with a hamstring. The Dolphins running back Raheem Mostert dealing with a chest injury. He is doubtful. And then Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb dealing with an ankle injury. He is good to go. Extensions. The Ravens getting a deal done today. They signed running back Justice Hill to a 2-year, $6 million extension. So good for him. Good role player, third down back, and decent money. Couple signings. The Bengals, they signed Patriots defensive lineman Lawrence Guy. Giants signing former Vikings kicker Greg Joseph as their new kicker with Graham Gano on IR now. You both know about the Greg Joseph train.
Good luck, Giants.
Vietnam flashbacks.
And mentioned the Chiefs, they signed Browns running back Kareem Hunt to the practice squad. Workouts. The Bills, they worked out some kickers this week. Packers kicker Anders Carlson and Commanders kicker Cade York. The Texans worked out former Bengals tight end Irv Smith Jr. Vikings, Jimmy working out former Steelers linebacker Quan Alexander. Obviously mentioned Ivan Pace dealing with injury, so Quan was someone they're looking into potentially.
I heard about that.
And then the Seahawks, they worked out Chiefs quarterback Ian Book, former Steelers wide receiver Miles Boykin, and former Jets wide receiver Denzel Mims. College pick standings. Jimmy, you're still in the lead, just barely. I got two on you last week.
Yeah, I didn't have the best week last week, but I'm staying up there.
Yeah, so Jimmy's ahead by 1. And Logan is still toiling down there at the bottom, down by 4.
It might be Jover.
A lot of game left, Logan. A lot of game. We have 28 games this week, and last week though you went 1-1 on your Lone Wolves. You got SIU right over Incarnate Word in our FCS game of the week, but you lost Arizona to Kansas State. Jimmy, you didn't have any Lone Wolves last week.
Played it safe.
I played hero ball. I went 3-1, my Lone Wolves. I got Notre Dame over Purdue. Still don't know how you guys let me do that.
We were feeling ambitious, man. We thought we were being the downfall with Notre Dame.
My lone wolf loss, love the alliteration there, was West Virginia, which I still don't know how that happened. I don't know how they lost that game still. And then I got Indiana crushing UCLA and UCF coming back to beat TCU. So, starting off, we got 3 games tonight, 3 FBS matchups. Starting off, Stanford at the Qs. I went against Syracuse, I think it was 2 weeks ago, with Georgia Tech. Not going to do that this week. The Dome is going to be rocking on Friday night tonight. And I still have hatred towards Stanford for not allowing TCU to cover early in the year. So give me the Qs. We're all on the Qs. I like them to cover the spread tonight.
Yeah. I mean, they've been looking good. It's budding ACC rivalry here. But yeah, I mean, Syracuse at home, I like them, and they've looked smooth. So, again, no reason to pick against them here.
Fran Brown doing a good job there as head coach. Look for Aronde Gadsden. Love that man at wide receiver. Let's see. The total is 57.5. I like the under. 7:30 ESPN. Number 24, Illinois. The Illini at number 22, Nebraska. Big top 25 matchup here. And Logan, you're rolling with the orange team here.
Sure. Yes, sir. Look, I think we're jumping the gun a little on Nebraska, and here's why. I saw the spread on this that they're getting they're a touchdown favorite. I think that's a little rich for my blood. I'm telling you, dude, like I have watched Big Ten football all my life. Illinois has been trash basket for like most of it. And then Brett Bielema has come in and they just play like solid football. And when I saw this spread, I was like, oh, wow, like somebody must be like hurt. As far as I know, nobody's like out. No significant, like they're not starting QB2 or whatever. I know it's in Lincoln. I know that that's like, you know, a pretty cool atmosphere, and they're ranked now. They're 3-0 to start the season and all that. I think what it boils down to is that I believe this is year 3 for Brett Bielema, and this is only year 2 for Matt Rule. I just think think Brett Bielema is just a little further along in his "this is my team," whereas Rule, I think, in a game like this where I feel they're pretty evenly matched, I think he's still gonna have, to assemble some of his guys, so to speak. So that's where it boiled down for me. I think Illinois will be able to do enough and maybe force Raiola into some bad decisions.
I agree on the spread. I love Illinois on the spread. I think they should cover. I actually got +8 earlier today, which was amazing. I think it's going to be a much closer game. But, yeah, I like what Nebraska's doing. They're at home. Dylan Raiola has not looked like the true freshman that he is so far. Obviously, first big test against Big Ten opponent. But I think the way that Dante Dowdle has been running the ball for the Huskers has been a big boost for the freshman quarterback. So I think if they can continue to be balanced offensively, and the Matt Rule defense has been pretty solid as well, and I'm just not as confident with Luke Altmaier on the Illinois side. 42.5. Really, that's a Big Ten total right there. That's too low for me to say the under. I just don't know. That's a pretty tough line there, 42.5. This one's 8 p.m. on Fox tonight. And then the nightcap, San Jose State at Washington State. We are all on Wazoo and the Cougars. Makes a lot of sense. They're 12-point favorites. John Mateer has been freaking awesome, running the ball all over the place. Got to give credit to Ken Niumatalolo, the first-year head coach at San Jose State this year, former Navy head coach as well. He's done a great job of getting the Spartans to 3-0. I just think they're going to run into a buzzsaw. Washington State should cover this spread, I think, tonight. Also, being in Pullman, that's good atmosphere for the Cougs. 55.5 is the total. I like the over in this one.
Yeah, I think both these teams have pretty good offenses.
This one's 10 p.m. on the CW network.
Ooh. Right after I watch my Supernatural, maybe I'll watch it.
All right, let's get to tomorrow. Starting off, Marshall at number 3, Ohio State. Buckeyes getting 40. And we don't even have to talk about this game, really.
No, but hey, I'll say it. I don't think they'll cover.
Will they? They won't cover? No?
I don't think they'll cover. I think Marshall's actually a pretty decent team. I think this game will be like 34-10.
You sound like Coach Corso there.
Oh yeah.
They'll win. No cover.
No cover.
How about the total? 52.5 here.
I mean, with my prediction, it's under, so let's go under here.
Right.
Ohio State is not really known for running up the score on teams, even if it's early season.
12 p.m. Big noon kickoff on Fox. ACC clash, NC State at number 21, Clemson. I was super shocked. It's down to 18. It started at 15.5 early in the week. Went up to 20.5. Back down to 18.5. I think Clemson covers this. NC State's in trouble. Grayson McCall's been injured, and while they have eked out a 2-1 record, they're starting a freshman quarterback this week. Going into Death Valley, it's not a great proposition.
Yeah. I think Clemson's trying to prove they deserve to be a ranked team. So I think they're going to come out and just swing. I think Clemson sees that the ACC is wide open for them because Florida State is just falling apart. And I think they're going, all right, we got to prove this is our conference. We deserve to make the playoffs. Let's just absolutely just tear.
Total here is 44.5. I like the over. I think that's really low in a game that I think Clemson offensively should do pretty well. And watch for the Tigers to score on defense as well. I like a Clemson defensive score in this one off the freshman. 12 p.m. ABC and ESPN Plus. JMU, the Dukes at North Carolina, 10.5. I'm intrigued. I don't think it has changed yet with the Criswell announcement. No, it's still sitting at 10.5 like it has since the line opened. Not really sure if they're going to cover that. JMU, I'm still not totally confident on, just because of how much they lost in the transfer portal, with a lot of them going with Kurt Signetti to Indiana. So I think Jacoby Criswell will play pretty well, and UNC more than likely covers the 10.5 here. Total is 48.5. I'm leaning on the under. 12 p.m. ACC Network. The Red Wolves, Arkansas State at number 20. Iowa State Cyclones getting 21. I think they cover. Rocco Becht has been on fire this year, and he's got some pretty good weapons. Jalen Noel at wide receiver is just a speed demon, and Matt Campbell's gonna get his squad at 3-0 pretty easily. Total's 51.5. I am leaning on the over. 2 p.m. ESPN Plus. Virginia, the Cavaliers, 2-1. They're 3.5-point favorites on the road at Coastal Carolina. Yeah. Give me the shots, baby. It's on the teal turf. You don't disrespect the Chanticleers in South Carolina on the teal turf. I think Ethan Vasco, I've been impressed. I didn't think that Coastal was going to be that good this year with, Grayson McCall gone. But Vasco has really had this offense humming, and it was a big disappointment last week. I thought they were going to go into Temple and absolutely rock the Owls. They didn't. They really barely won in Philadelphia against Temple. But I think back home, this crowd's going to be rocking. They're hosting a P4 squad and an ACC team. So I think Coastal's got a good shot. And at the very worst, they cover. I think it's going to be that close of a game. Tell me why I'm wrong, Logan. You picked Virginia.
I don't like pulling against the shots more than I have to. But, I'm going with the P4 prestige, even if it is Virginia. I think they'll be able to get it done.
Total is 53.5. I am leaning on the over. I think there could be some points in that one. 2 p.m. ESPN Plus. Kent State at number 10. Penn State. Nittany Lions getting 49 here. Back-to-back weeks of Kent getting 49 as a dog. I went with them as the dog on 49 last week. I might as well go again this week in a less explosive offensive team in Penn State. If you're Kent State, it really can't get worse. Like, I don't foresee Penn State putting up 72 against them. So, I would lean on the Golden Flashes to cover 49. I just don't know if Penn State's going to put up that many points.
Dude, at the very least, Kent State's unis next year are going to be insane. They're going to be like some space age level stuff. Because what is it? Like, how many ranked opponents is this now that they're playing?
I don't know.
It has to be like the third. I think they played.
Or actually, no. Was Kent the team that lost to St. Francis? I'm pretty sure Kent State was the one that lost to St. Francis. Yeah. They lost to St. Francis at home.
Yeah, losses to Pitt, Tennessee, Penn State, and St. Yeah. It's a good payday. I don't know how much they're getting from Penn State for this one, but yeah,
they are the worst team in college football, like quite literally. And they're going to go under my projection now because I had them at 2-10, but one of those wins was supposed to be against St. Francis. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they win a game this year. Really don't. The way they're playing. Um, 55.5 is the total. I lean on the under. Just like Jimmy said on the Ohio State game, like Penn State's not really a team. Like once they get up, they're like Georgia as well. They'll just run the ball and get out of town. 3:30 Big Ten Network. The big one. This is one of the biggest games in terms of ranked matchups this weekend. Number 11 USC at number 18 Michigan. We're all on the Trojans, and I think they cover. I don't. Again, Michigan does not deserve to be a top 25 team. Rolled by Texas, and while USC isn't Texas, Miller Moss has impressed me. He's played very well. The USC defense has also very much impressed me. They're playing well. So, and Michigan doesn't have a quarterback. While they are starting Alex Orji for the first time this year, I mean, I don't really think he's going to be better than Davis Warren. So,
yeah, it's just one of those things. Like they're 2-1, but I watched a good amount of their wins. Even their wins looked garbage. Like when you're a ranked team and your wins don't look good against bad teams, I'm like, wow, this is not a good team.
Yeah, well, I mean, they beat Arkansas State by 10 last week.
And then Fresno State had a game against
them. Hey, Fresno State's going to be in the Mountain West Championship.
Hey, they're legit. Don't get me wrong, but they're not Big Ten Michigan legit. Fresno State against last year's Harbaugh squad loses 60-10 at best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes me a little nervous that we're in consensus here, but at the same time, like you mentioned, Rusty, if this was the Trojans' defense of yesteryear, I might give Michigan a chance because they might just be able to run all over them, and USC couldn't tackle. This defense looked legit against LSU, and that's a big deal. Yeah, so I think they're going to handle this. Honestly, I don't know how they're not bigger favorites based on how Michigan has looked so far. I get it's at the big house.
Yeah,
but
I think that's why, because it's Michigan and it's at home.
But I think that cancels out when you're struggling to find a quarterback who can throw the football. That's insane to me. So
yeah, I mean, if you lose 2 games in the first 4 weeks in the big house, call the funeral director. Season's over, you're not making playoffs. I'm sorry. Because then hell, you got to play Ohio State in Ohio State later this year. And if you walk in Ohio State with at least 2 losses in your home stadium, good night. It's over.
Well, Ohio State also has some personal motivation after losing 3 straight.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that might be the bloodiest game I've ever seen. Just Ohio State is going to come in motivated.
I think last thing that I have on this one is can't discount USC's coming off rest as well. They had a bye last week.
Mm-hmm.
So they got 2 weeks rest for this game. So, I mean, that even more helps the Trojans cause. Total's 43.5. Have to think it's gonna go over. It might be close. Michigan still has a good defense. That's the only thing I will say for their cause, but it didn't matter against Texas. So just
it can only be a good defense for so long.
Yeah. 3:30 Big Ten on CBS. It's just not the same. UCLA at number 16 LSU. Tigers getting 22.5 at home, and yeah, they're gonna cover that one. I mean, UCLA just got boat raced in LA against Indiana, which I'm on a Hoosiers train this year, so I'm fine with that. I told you all Indiana was going to win anyways, and they were going to win big. LSU is going to win big again this week. I think they got a galvanizing win at South Carolina last week in that comeback effort by Garrett Nussmeier. I think he's going to play outstanding, and I just don't think UCLA has the defense or the offense to keep up with the LSU.
Yeah, I got to agree.
Yeah, I expect more out of UCLA as a Big Ten representative now. This line is crazy. I don't know how you can, do that. But like you said, what they looked like against Indiana, I mean, I don't imagine it looking better somehow against LSU.
Yeah. A more talented squad in LSU. Total's 56.5. I lean on the over on that one. This one's 330 ABC and ESPN Plus. Miami, Ohio, the Redhawks coming into South Bend. Number 17, Notre Dame getting 28 at home. Don't sleep, Irish, because this is another MAC team coming to your house, man. Just saying.
Yeah, Logan and I are not going to fall for the same mistake 2 weeks in a row.
John Gruden will be glued to this game, though. He's going to have a vested interest in this outcome.
Yeah, he's going to be screaming Spider 2 white banana the entire game.
But yeah, I mean, Miami, Ohio is just not the same team. Brett Gabbert gone now as their quarterback who was really good for a bunch of years. So, and like I said on last Friday's show, I think, or maybe it was Monday, Notre Dame, this is what they have to do. They have to do this every single week from now on. They have to absolutely smash people like they did against Purdue last week, because they have to make a statement to go 11-1 and have really dominant victories on a weaker schedule in order to get in the playoff now. Total is 43.5. I don't know how that is possible, but that's what it says on my paper. So, sure. Over. 3:30 NBC and Peacock. Georgia Tech, Yellow Jackets going to Kentucky against number 19, Louisville. Cardinals getting 10.5 off a bye. Yeah, we're all in the Cardinals. I've liked what I've seen from Tyler Shuff at quarterback, and I still like Georgia Tech. I think there's potential this could be close. I think Yellow Jackets potentially cover that, but I'm not super confident in it. Greg Key's getting those boys playing well.
Yeah, I think Georgia Tech could maybe sneak this one, but Louisville at home, they've looked good. I couldn't bet against them. So
57.5 is a total. I am leaning on the under. I think Tech's got a decent defense.
Yeah. I feel like this one's going to be a slugfest. I think this is going to be the one for the guys that bet on Louisville. They're going to be just absolutely just have a headache by the fourth quarter, because it's just going to be one of those games.
Jimmy throwing out a inadvertent baseball pun. Slugfest, Louisville Slugger.
I'm here for our fans to make the silly comments and be funny.
3:30 ESPN2. Maction. Here you go, Jimmy. This game's just for you. Buffalo at number 23, Northern Illinois. Rusty's Huskies, baby. Yeah. They're rolling.
You know I'm a big Maction slut. This is going to be one of my favorites for the week.
I like NIU to cover this. They got a good squad, and I'm blanking on the coach's last name. I know his first name's Thomas, but I can't remember his last name. And I can picture him on my head, big dude. But yeah, I think Buffalo is not a good team. I can tell you, 2-1, that's fine. That's going to be their only 2 wins of the year. I have them at 2-10 this season, so I think they're going to lose 9 straight here. I'm just not a big believer in Buffalo. They lost Cole Snyder in the transfer portal. He was a pretty good quarterback. So yeah, give me NIU by 50. 43.5 popular total this week. I promise I did not just hit copy and paste. Leaning on the over. 3:30 ESPN Plus. SEC action, Arkansas at Auburn. I still have no clue how the Tigers are favored. No clue. I really don't care that they're at home. They got railed by Cal, which, by the way, Cal's 3-0. They're a good team. But I have no confidence that Auburn can win. I mean, their quarterback play is subpar, and Arkansas, on the other hand, their one loss is a very good loss. They lost at Oklahoma State in double overtime. So I've been impressed by Taylon Green. He's been running, throwing it. Jaquindon Jackson has been a godsend in the backfield. I think the Razorbacks win this and win this handily.
Yeah, the odds makers must have a lot of respect for Cal, and to be honest, after seeing their Twitter game, their fan base's Twitter game, I totally understand. I don't know if you guys have saw this, but ahead of the FSU game this week, they're talking about how they're gonna turn Doak Campbell Stadium into Woke Campbell Stadium, and that they're
The
gonna bring
Wokies are ruining football.
they're gonna bring DEI to Florida and all this crazy stuff. It is hilarious. So yeah, I mean, I like Cal, but yeah, I'm with you, Rusty. I don't know how Auburn's favored in this. Arkansas's one loss, they looked really good I thought. It was against a good team, pretty close game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Peyton Thorne, quarterback for Auburn. He's made questionable decisions in a bunch of the games, especially I've only watched Auburn once this year, and it was the Cal game, and it just questionable decision making. It's not great play. And sure, I mean Jordan Hare is a great home field advantage, but again, it's SEC play, and I think Arkansas is the better team. Plus, they have the bald-headed wonder himself, anyways, on defense, bro. Landon Jackson's a beast. He should really eat. I'm not very confident in the Auburn O-line, especially how Cal attacked them. So, 56.5 is the total. I am leaning on the under, just because it's an SEC game. 3:30 ESPN. Arizona State Sun Devils at Texas Tech. Another one here.
Look,
with the Red Raiders.
Let me lone wolf the favorite. Give me that easy money, man. I'll take it.
Well, Rusty, he just said easy money. Are you just going to let him say that to us? Are you going to let him say that to us?
We'll let him have his piece for now.
I know Rusty's drinking the Arizona State Kool-Aid early on this season because they beat Texas State. Okay. I was there for that show. But let's put some respect on the Red Raiders name. All right. They're gonna show them what Big 12 football is all about. And they're gonna get the dub in Lubbock.
Well, I'm telling you, Arizona State already knows what Big 12 football is about because Sam Levitt's been throwing the ball all over the field. I've been highly impressed with what Kenny Dillingham has done with this offense. The defense, the Sun Devil defense has been outstanding as well. I know I was a high believer on Wyoming in that game, and Arizona State absolutely demolished the Cowboys in Tempe. But yeah, I mean, I love Arizona's balance on offense. Cam Scadaboo is awesome at running back. Their offensive line has been playing well. And like I said, Sam Levitt's been, to be honest, he's probably a top 5 transfer quarterback this year with how they're playing. And like I said, the Sun Devil defense I've been impressed with as well. I wasn't impressed with Texas Tech when they played against Washington State. So that's why I'm going with ASU here.
And I'm going with ASU because vibes, baby. That's right. This is my first 5 picks of the year, baby. Woo!
Jimmy, I don't have. I need to get one of the
vibes pick, baby. Huge,
I need to get that sound. I need to get that sound.
Every time I have a vibes pick, we just completely off rail the show.
Hey, anything to get the clicks, right?
Exactly, baby.
59
I'll get the merch,
and a half.
everything, just 5 picks on my t-shirt. Right next to Maction Slut.
59.5 is the total. That's a Big 12 total right there. But I am leaning on the under. ASU defense, man, shut it down. We're going Tridents down here because we're gonna put them in the ground and stop the Red Raiders offense.
How do we do Tridents down? It's like this.
3:30 FS1. Memphis going to Annapolis to play Navy. Yeah, dude, Navy's Navy's not a good 2-0 team. They're really not. I don't know. I don't even know who they beat. Not good people. I can tell you that. I know that for a fact. I think they one of their 2 games was against a FCS team, and the other one. Let's see here. What do we got? Yeah, so they beat up on Bucknell and they beat up on Temple. I mean, Temple's one of the worst teams in college football. So yeah, Memphis should win and win handily. I like Memphis to cover the spread. Veteran-laden team, Seth Hennigan, really great quarterback, and sure, it's at the Naval Academy. I don't care. Memphis should roll.
Gotta agree.
Yeah.
Total's 49.5. I like the under.
Ooh.
3:30 CBS Sports. Big one. Big 12 matchup. Number 12, Utah at number 14, Oklahoma State. Yes, sir. And this is actually, Utah is actually favored now. Okay. Utah is a 1-point favorite.
Wow.
And, I probably should look into that because that would flip my pick potentially.
No,
If Cam Rising is playing, I think Utah wins this game.
He's scheduled to return.
Okay.
I believe so, because I had to Google that for this pick. That was the deciding factor for me.
Right. Even if he does play, though, I still think the way Oklahoma State has been playing, specifically on the defense, I think they can win this game. Because even if Cam Rising plays, like we've seen it in the past, when he's come back from injury, he doesn't last long, unfortunately. It just historically, he really has not been able to return like for a couple weeks. He's come back and then he kind of gets injured right away. So with that being said, I like the Pokes. It's in Stillwater. Tough place to play. We saw that. They eked one out against Arkansas earlier. So, yeah, that's why I like Oklahoma State. I think it's going to be a very good game. And while Utah, I think this one's going to be a really solid defensive battle.
Game of the weekend?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think this is potential. 2 top 15 teams. I think this might be the most exciting.
Yeah. And I'm riding Utah just because, I have so much respect for that program. They remind me a lot of the Badgers, before the Badgers started sucking. Yeah, I mean, I just think they're really consistent. Hopefully Rising is healthy.
Yeah.
Because I think, if he's playing banged up, it could be a different outcome. At the same time, though, they're used to him being banged up. So, I trust their contingency plans and I trust their backups in that regard. Yeah.
Let me just see injury report here for this game because there's another key injury that I'd like to know potentially on the Oklahoma State. Of course, I type in Oklahoma State versus Utah injury report. Literally everything. Everyone and their mother wants to talk about Cam Rising. So, yeah, I can't find it quick enough. But anyways, the other one that I know had been of importance is on the Oklahoma State side, Nick Martin, the all-star linebacker. I think he missed last week. Hopefully he's back. And if he is, I mean, he's a game wrecker. So that would be one to watch as well. 52.5 is a total. I like the under. Again, these offenses are good, but I like the defenses better. 4 p.m. on Fox. Vandy, Commodores. I had to get the old logo. I couldn't get the ESPN new logo there. So we're going with the old school logo there.
The old school's better. I'm gonna say it.
You don't like the
I don't like it. I don't like the new one. Keep the old one. This is us protesting.
At number 7, Mizzou. Yeah, I like Mizzou to cover. Mizzou went to Wake Forest last week, demolished them 40-6. So Vandy, as the worst team in the SEC, Missouri should roll pretty handily in Columbia.
Yeah,
I'll push back a little because I'm not sure they're worse than Mississippi State this year.
Well, yeah, Diego Pavia has played well.
Yeah, he's played well. So I think Vandy's gonna be able to maybe scare some SEC teams this year. Maybe steal some. I just don't think they're going to be able to do it against Missouri, who I think is one of the more solid SEC teams this year. Yeah.
Well, Logan, I'm canceling out my -20 on Mizzou there. So total's 52.5. I'm leaning on the over. 4:15 p.m. on SEC Network. TCU at SMU. Yeah, we're all on the Horned Frogs. After their loss to my boys, UCF, last week in Fort Worth. Now they go right across town to SMU, and I have not been impressed with SMU this year. Close win, a very big comeback win at Nevada to start the year. And Preston Stone nor Kevin Jennings at quarterback has been impressive for me. So I was highly impressed by Josh Hoover last week, absolutely just throwing the ball wherever he wanted against UCF. So I think TCU wins, and I think they cover.
Yeah, I just kind of second all of that, what you said. TCU loses a close one to Gus the Bus, but I still think they're a pretty decent team. And, yeah, I just haven't been super impressed with SMU so far. Kind of surprised TCU isn't favored more.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
58.5. I think it has a potential to go over, but I'm gonna stick with the under. 5 p.m. on the CW. There you go again, Jimmy. Another CW one for you.
Yes.
Number 8, Miami. I am very shocked they're only 17-point favorites at USF. Granted, USF, they held against Bama for a half, so I just think Miami's just so good, dude. Cam Ward, I don't think the Bulls have any chance.
No, this is going to be an offensive rout by the University of Miami, Florida.
I will say, I think if Miami, comes out flat-footed and, didn't really prepare for this game, they have a chance to, get caught off because it is on the road and UCF has looked decent so far to start. But I don't think that'll happen, and I think Cam Ward will come out, slinging that rock.
How about 65.5?
Ooh.
I'm under.
I'm under. Unless Miami just comes out really swinging, I think the under hits.
7 p.m. on ESPN. Number 6, Tennessee.
Whoa.
Volunteers 6.5-point favorites at number 15, Oklahoma in Norman. And our sixth leader, everyone.
I don't know what to tell you, boys. This is not a vibe pick. I know you want to hear vibe pick. It's not. I just haven't been super impressed with Tennessee this season. I think Oklahoma, just the home field advantage, the Boomer Sooners, I think they're going to play well. And I think Tennessee's going to underperform here.
You weren't impressed by Tennessee absolutely demolishing NC State in the Dukes Mayo Classic.
I don't give a crap about NC State. I think they're highly overrated.
Nor them putting up 65 in the first half against Kent State.
Who gives a crap? It's Kent State, man. Can't say
Jimmy wants
sucks.
60-point deficits. He
This is
doesn't
what
want
I
that
want.
50 crap that Tennessee's been rolling
Dude, come on. Notre Dame put so much on Purdue. That just tells you all you need to know. Come on, Oklahoma. Let's do it.
And Oklahoma, on the other hand, they struggled against Houston a couple weeks ago.
Houston's all right.
They struggled last week as well against Tulane.
Tulane's kind of cool.
Houston sucks, by the way. Just saying. Tulane's a decent team, but I think there are still some question marks for Jackson Arnold being so young. I've been impressed by Nico Iamaleava at quarterback, despite how young he is. They're running the ball like hell with Dylan Sampson as well. So I think Tennessee wins and runs away with it.
Yeah, this comes down to the quarterbacks for me. I just feel like I've seen more out of Nico than I have Jackson Arnold. But I think it'll be a good game. I think it's time for Brent Venables to start kind of earning that paycheck. Let's see what he can do on defense. Maybe force some errors from Nico. But yeah, I think Tennessee gets it done.
I think that's what the UT defense is going to do to Jackson Arnold. He threw, I think, 2 picks last week. 1. But they got a guy named James Pierce who's potentially going to be the number 1 defensive player off the board. If not, he's probably going to be the number 1 edge rusher off the board in the 25 draft. So they got some guys on the Volunteers defense as well. 56.5 is the total. I am leaning on the over. 7:30 ABC and ESPN Plus. Bowling Green, the Falcons headed to College Station at number 25 Texas A&M, newly minted top 25 squad once again. The Aggies, they're getting their freshman starting. I forget what his name is. Reed, right? Marcel Reed. Starting this one. And he looked really good last week. And I expect him to look good again this week. Don't know if Bowling Green can replicate what they did in Happy Valley, but we'll see. They are on a week's rest. So watch out for the Falcons upset in College Station at Kyle Field. 51.5 is the total. I like the over. 7:30 ESPN Plus, SEC Network Plus. Yeah. Iowa at Minnesota, old Big Ten West matchup. What's this one for, Logan? You know what the trophy is for this one? Is
no idea.
I don't either.
Yeah.
It's usually either like a brown jug or some wood thing.
Let me look it up. A bronze trophy in the shape of a pig.
No, the bronze.
Floyd of Rosedale, I think. Floyd of Rosedale is what it's called.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So they're fighting for a pig.
Dude.
We're all on the Hawkeyes. I don't really have much analysis in this game. Iowa lone loss to a ranked Iowa State team. I'm just not confident. Max Brosmer has not – I haven't been, that high on how he's played so far, coming in from New Hampshire. And Iowa, I think that they have the defense to shut them down.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know how Iowa isn't favored more. I've been watching Minnesota football, not just because I had a vested interest as the fan of a Big Ten West team, but because my sister goes there. The squads they put out are kind of underwhelming, I'd say, or at least don't usually live to kind of the expectations that PJ Fleck kind of has as the head coach there. I just haven't been too impressed this year. Iowa's lone loss was a close game to a pretty good Iowa State team, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm going Iowa.
Yeah.
How about?
Oh, go for it.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
I was going to say, remember how we were saying the Oklahoma State and Utah was going to be a game of the week? This is going to be the ungame of the week. This is going to be the worst game of the week to watch. If you're watching on TV, you are a sicko. Watch something else.
7-5 Iowa.
God, that would be if you're lucky.
call Logan a sicko because he's
you sicko.
Yeah, how about 35.5 for the total on this one?
Can I hit the double under? I don't even think it's going to hit half of that.
Watch Iowa comes out and does what they did week 1, score 40.
They have their QB back, so maybe
7:30. This one's Big Ten on NBC prime time.
Oh, yay.
Congrats, NBC.
Yay.
Georgia Southern, the Eagles at number 5, Ole Miss, and I've been surprised. This spread has been dropping throughout the week. It started out, I think it was 38 when it opened. Let me see. Oh well, okay. I guess they said it started out at 35.5, but I've seen it as high as 38 during the week. Back down to where it was in 35.5. I would buy the half a point to get it to an even 35, just so you're nice 5 touchdowns. I think they cover it. I haven't seen Gasso this year yet, but what I have seen from Ole Miss is that they score pretty quickly, so I wouldn't be shocked if they cover. How about we go from 35.5 to 67.5?
Yeah,
under.
Ole Miss getting that 35.5 by themselves.
Under. I like under 67.5. 7:45 on SEC Network. Again, I just love those quarter-hour start times for the SEC Network this year. Got to do something different to beat the competition. How about UL Monroe? The Warhawks are 2-0, going to Austin to play number 1 Texas. 44 for the Horns.
Baby.
What?
An Arch Manning, baby.
Hook 'em. Yeah. I don't know if they cover though. ULM could surprise and cover the 44. See how Arch plays.
Yeah, I think, speaking of Arch, I think they're not going to cover simply because they're going to be very conservative of Arch. They're not going to really open up the offense a lot because it's like, should be an easy win for our team. Our defense is going to play well. We put up 28 to 35 points with Arch Manning. We're good.
I fear Arch is going to take over, though.
Ooh.
He's going to force them to open up.
To have that tough conversation?
No.
Oh, all right.
Nah, I mean, minus 44 is insane. That's crazy. And I mean, I've seen Tennessee do it. I haven't necessarily seen Texas do it quite yet. Not saying that Texas isn't obviously a great team, and I think they might be more balanced than Tennessee, but like, I don't know. That's a lot.
By 49. They beat UTSA by 49 last week. So.
Was it that much?
Yeah, 56-7. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't like the spread, but I do like the over 52.5. I think Texas can score 56 again, like they did last week. Maybe get a field goal or whatever from ULM potentially, and help out like UTSA did last week, helping them get the over because it was 62.5 last week. So luckily UTSA scored because we needed that one. 52.5 though. I like the over. 8 p.m. ESPN Plus, SEC Network Plus. Number 13, Kansas State. The Wildcats coming off a big win last Friday over Arizona at BYU, and I'm just saying, we're all on Kansas State, but weird stuff happens at the Mormon capital of the world at night. So I'm just saying, this
the
is
Mormons,
not by anything.
They got a way of doing things.
Big 12 after dark.
Ooh.
Yeah, it is.
You don't want to know what the Mormons do after dark.
I would not be shocked if BYU in Provo, Utah, comes out and wins this game. And I would really love it for the BYU fans if this is I don't know if they do it only once a year, but I know they have their blackout games. I love the BYU all black jerseys. Oh, they're so nice. So would not be shocked. I would do it. I would do it if I'm their promo staff. Like, bro, we got a top 15 squad coming in. Let's do the blackout. Yeah, so I'm not confident in KSU -7 for that fact. 48.5 as a total. I'm going under. 10:30. ESPN.
Yes.
That is 8:30 local, I believe. They're on Mountain Time.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say, Rusty, that's sicko behavior.
I will be up.
Bed.
I will be up.
You got church in the morning.
And our FCS game of the week, number 4, Idaho, the Vandals on the road at number 19, Abilene Christian, the Wildcats getting 13.5 as a dog at home. Yeah, I think Idaho should play pretty well in this one, potentially cover, but not super confident in that one. I think Idaho will win. 48.5 is the total for that one. I am leaning on the under. 8 p.m. ESPN Plus. NFL pick standings here. It's all evened up after
Lock, baby.
Yeah, so I was leading after the first week at 11-3. Y'all got a game on me, and here we are. And Logan has actually taken the top spot because of tiebreakers, based off Lone Wolves. Is the tiebreaker that I use. So because Logan is now 2-2, I am 1-1 in Lone Wolf. So that's why. But yeah, so everyone except I didn't have a Lone Wolf, but y'all all got your Lone Wolf right last week. Logan got the Browns right over the Jags. Jimmy, you got the Bucks right over the Lions, and John got the Cardinals right over the Rams.
All right.
So once again, not a lot of Lone Wolves this week. But we start one off.
Oh,
whoa! Who's this?
The Eagles at the Saints. Yeah, you know what the crazy stat is for them? I am not picking any of my teams this week.
Whoa, that must be a first.
Oh. Yeah, so Jimmy, you got the Birds on the road in the dome.
I got the Birds, yeah, against the Saints in one of the hardest places to play in all of the NFL, the Superdome down in New Orleans.
You know the Saints have scored 91 points so far this season, right?
Yeah, but the Eagles are 92. Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. I think this is one I went back and forth on the most, but I think the Eagles are going to have a little bit of revenge. I don't think there's like a New Orleans magic, and I don't think it's going to run out. But I think this is going to be one of those games where the Eagles are just looking to win after a tough loss. And I always go for those teams that are supposed to be good that come off tough losses. I think they're coming off pissed. And I think the Eagles should play very well. I think the Saints, their defense is awesome. But I think the Eagles offense can play a very sound game here.
Yeah. There's a part of me that is worried that we're seeing a little bit of a insanity run from the Saints here early on, and that the other shoe's going to drop a little bit. But they're at home, so I'm trusting them to ride it out for now.
Yeah, I don't think the shoe's going to drop. I think this is going to be like a 27-24 game where you go damn, Saints lost, but they really deserve to be in this game.
Yeah, ESPN FPI has the Saints winning. I think it was 52% by an average of 0.7. So I'm leaning on the Eagles plus 2.5, but I'm just not that confident that they will be able to cover that. And again, I'm no qualms about the offense. I think the offense is going to do well. Saints defense has played very well through 2 games as also. But I think it's a different animal. The Saints historically, the last couple of years, especially in the Dennis Allen era, have struggled against dual threat quarterbacks. So I think Jalen Hurts going to have a good day running again like he did on Monday. It's just the defense. The defense, it's not good right now. And running or passing, I think they're a beatable unit. So, and this would be the week though, like for the Eagles defense to get some pressure. The Saints O-line has somehow held up very nicely, which was the biggest question mark I think on their offense going into the year. 49.5 here. It's the highest of the weekend by far. Or no, actually though, there's one more that's higher. But that's really, really high for a NFL game. I wouldn't be shocked. Would not be shocked if this one went over. Going to another 1 o'clock game here. Whoa. Jimmy.
2 in a row.
Oh, I forgot. I am picking one of my teams. I was on the opposite of this week.
I am starting off this week ambitious.
I was thinking that everyone was picking the Steelers and you were picking, or everyone was picking the Chargers and you were picking the Steelers, but I got my wires crossed and you are picking the Chargers, sir.
I am picking the Chargers. I made this pick with the assumption that Herbert would push through and play. I still kind of think he might. But like both these teams are incredible defenses. Harbaugh has just really shown that he can translate his game basically everywhere. I mean, he was a great coach with the 49ers, great coach in Michigan. I think we're seeing the same thing with the Chargers. He does more with less with this defensive squad. And yeah, I think this is just going to be one of those ugly wins, but I do think the Chargers are going to play well, even with the question marks with Herbert, if he plays or not. I mean, if he doesn't play, I think it's a loss. But I'm still playing with the assumption that Herbert will play and he's going to play adequately. But even then, Chargers and Harbaugh love the run game. That's just how Harbaugh runs his offense. But yeah, I think the Chargers might pull this one off.
No, the Steelers have been a top 5 defensive unit through 2 weeks.
So have the Chargers.
And well, I'm just saying, you said they're going to run the ball. Well, there's this man, number 97, that sits right in the middle of the defense, and is a nasty.
Run other ways. Just run
Well,
away.
Don't matter. Which way do you want to run? You want to run to
just
TJ
away
Watt?
from him. That's the goal. Like
you want
he's
to
here.
run to TJ Watt side?
I go this way. He's over
or
here.
You want to run the other way? You want to run against TJ Watt?
I'm just gonna mix it up.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine if you want to run against TJ Watt. Guess what? Alex Highsmith's on the other side.
Oop. I'm just kidding.
Cook.
Whoa.
And guess what? You want to run against Cam Hayward? You want to run opposite of him? Well, there's a Wisconsin Badger that is waiting on the other side of that D line, Mr. Keanu Benton. So
yeah, but hey, that Chargers O line of Joe Alt, Rookie of the Year. That's right, I said it. Joe Alt's Rookie of the Year. He's doing all right.
Jimmy, your best offensive lineman shouldn't be your rookie.
But he is the best, John. He is so good. John, I'm glad.
What's that say about the rest of them?
But it's Joe Alt. He's different. He's bred differently. He is a king. He is the Rookie of the Year, John.
All right. Logan, you got anything else on this game?
No, but I'll raise you, Jimmy. Zach Frazier is Rookie of the Year.
Oh,
I fear.
By the way, we got a parlay. What are you thinking about this parlay, real quick, before we move to the next one here? Jonathan, Kyler Murray over 33.5 rushing, Daniel Jones under 184.5 passing, Chris Godwin over 39.5 receiving, Derrick Henry over 49.5 rushing, and Saquon over 49.5 rushing. Ayuk over 49.5 receiving.
Henry and Ayuk are the only ones that scare me with that one.
But I think Ayuk has a chance because both Debo and CMC are out, and Kittle has been pretty injured. I think they're going to
He's doubtful, yeah.
He is doubtful. So, I mean, the only real offensive weapon left are, Ayuk and Jennings, and I think Ayuk has a good chance to play well here.
Is that Derrick Henry?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Derrick Henry.
Yeah, so I like it. I like it.
I like it. Yeah, all right,
The only one that I would say potentially is the Daniel Jones one. That's a pretty low line.
Who are the Giants playing? I forget.
The Browns in Cleveland.
Oh, Browns.
Oh, I like that.
That's pretty good. Browns defense is pretty solid.
They've been okay. They're the number 27 fantasy defense right now, Jimmy. Not working for me.
But didn't they hold Dak under that?
Even the blowout Dak didn't do amazingly.
Yeah, but that would be the only one for me that is might make it lose. But otherwise, I think it's pretty solid, Jonathan.
Jonathan, just know if it fails, you can blame Rusty. It's all his fault.
Yeah, don't send me the Venmo request.
Yeah, he's not your man.
Yeah, so Steelers here 35.5 is the total for this one. I don't really have a play on that.
I'm gonna go under. I think this is gonna be a defensive matchup.
Whoa.
The Texans 2-point favorites at the Vikings, and Jimmy didn't take his boys.
No, I can't. I can't. Good
call him out like that.
I can't.
I like Houston -2. I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I guess since this my boys, I'll speak a little bit on it. We're playing with house money. I expected us to lose to San Fran. I was like, if we go 1-1 between San Fran and Houston, I'll be stoked. And I mean, missing Jordan Addison, missing Hawk, missing Pace, missing Turner. That's a lot of guys to miss. I know Houston's expected to miss Joe Mixon, along with, I can't remember who else they were expecting to miss. I knew it was in our pretty decent offensive name. But I can't think in good conscience. I know the one thing that's working for the Vikings is that historically, Vikings have never lost to the Houston Texans. Not once in their entire franchise's history. But still, at the same time, it's like I love CJ Stroud. I think that Houston defense is great. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a good game. But like as a Viking fan, I can't in good conscience think we're gonna start the season 3-0, especially playing two teams that are expected to be deep playoff contenders, especially with the guys we're missing. I just can't. I can't see the Vikings pulling this one off, even at home, especially in their throwback jerseys. Those throwback jerseys they're wearing this week, they're 0-2 historically. They've had a tough time in those historic throwback jerseys. So I don't
gotta just bring those back, though. I'm afraid that's not me saying
they're the best jerseys.
They're so nice.
Seen. They're so nice, but historically we don't play well in them.
I just think like. Not even. I like the Texans because their defense.
Their defense is great. I mentioned that.
Nico's got these boys rolling defensively. I think they're gonna make Sam Darnold force some mistakes.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be a great defensive matchup. I think it's kind of similar to the Steelers Chargers, kind of like just a who dares score kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like Darnold, as good as he's started, it seems like he's had a lot of interception luck, where he's really squeezed some tight windows.
He has 2 interceptions on the season, but one, if you look at the interceptions, the first one was because someone hit his arm as he threw. That was the one against the Giants, and the other one was to Fred Warner having the game of his life. I mean, Fred Warner's a goat in the linebacker situation, but yeah. I mean, he's definitely one of those QBs that knows he has Justin Jefferson, like, F it, throw it, it's Justin. But, I mean, I don't think he's been bad decision-making, but he's definitely had that, like, damn, I have good talent to throw to. I've been all right.
You're saying he didn't have good talent in Carolina?
No.
Dude, no one ever has.
Who is this? David Tepper on the line? What is this?
Whoa, David, where are you? Don't sue me.
Hey, I'm not throwing any fists today, so at least that's a positive.
Not yet.
Yeah, let's see how this conversation goes. I'm just kidding.
See how we get in the Seahawks game.
Total here is total's 46.5. Jimmy, we're on the under.
I'm on the under here. This is gonna be kind of like Steelers Chargers, very defensive heavy.
Broncos at the Bucks. Bucks getting 6.5. I like Tampa on the spread. Minus 6.5. I think it's a solid line. And the way that Baker's got these guys playing offensively, it's at home. I think they should be able to roll pretty handily.
Yeah. I think the Buccaneers just honestly are a good team. You know what I mean? It's not even like, well, they've been playing good to start the year and the Broncos haven't. Like, I just think the Buccaneers are a better team than the Broncos are, period.
Yeah, I look at Baker's play. I look at their defense, even with a pretty banged up defense. I mean, Vita Vea didn't play against the Lions, I think. I don't know if he was I can't remember if he was injured during the game or just missed the game completely. But, I mean, their defense held up against a pretty creative offense with the Lions. So, yeah.
I think people – sorry, continue.
No, I was done. Go for it.
I feel like people need to credit Todd Bowles and the job he's doing, because I feel like a lot of people have counted out Tampa for a while since Brady left. Like last year, everyone's like, oh, that playoff win, that's just a fluke. Winning the division, that's just a fluke. Oh, everyone's getting older. They're going to, I think they're just been, if you look at a 2-0, if you were to just look on paper, a 2-0 team who won a playoff game last year, a lot of people would think they're Super Bowl contenders. I still think people think that would be blasphemous to say Tampa's a Super Bowl contender, but you see how Baker's playing, you see how that defense is playing. I think Tampa's a legit contender in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree. I mean, with a defense that good and offensive weapons that are very solid with Godwin and Evans, you just need a QB that can just get the ball to the guys, and that's what Baker does.
Can we finally get Bucky Irvin to take over the freaking running back position? I have him in like 3 or 4 leagues.
I have too many Rashad White shares, I fear, for that.
Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you do that?
He's an elite pass catcher.
Bucky Irvin was my favorite running back coming out of the draft. I think he'll be the long-term guy, but I think this year he's definitely going to be taking a lot less.
Bucky, 2.8 RAS score Irving.
40.5 here. 40.5. I don't like that line. I'm staying away. Hey-oh! All power G's. Packers 3-point dogs in Nashville.
Are you guys assuming Jordan Love is playing or not?
Nah, dude. Malik Willis revenge game.
Yeah, I don't give a crap if Love's playing or not. The Packers are going to win this game because the Titans suck.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but like the Green Bay rush offense is fantastic. It's so good.
I liked their game plan last week a lot, and I think I had them as a lock to lose, and I was wrong. So I think I'm with Rusty. I don't think if Jordan Love plays, which I don't think he should, this could be a ugly game. I think if Malik Willis is your starter, it might be a little closer. But it'll be cool to see him have a revenge game. Did you guys see what he said when he was asked about his thoughts about Tennessee, and he gave like the most like wholesome answer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
What a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hate that he's on a rival.
I kind of do too.
It hurts.
It
hurts.
Let the Packers man speak. Why is
it's I just trust Matt LaFleur. He was doing some sicko shit against the Colts, man. I mean, the run game plan that he put out there. I mean, he had to have been digging into like the 1950s playbooks on some of this stuff. Like, it was fun to watch. And yeah, I mean, Malik Willis played. He did exactly like what they asked him to, and it wasn't a lot, but he did everything right. Now I think it'll be tougher because I do think the Titans defense, like I've been really impressed with, like to start the year. But at the same time, I've been very unimpressed with Will Levis. And I think Jeff Hafley, what he was able to game plan up against Anthony Richardson, I think he'll be able to do tenfold against Will Levis and maybe force some turnovers. That'll put us in some good positions to start the game.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for a third straight week. of Will Levis crunch time backbreaking turnover.
What's the Will Levis meme going to be this week? You know what I mean? It's like it's
surrender Cobra. I want to see him surrender
Yeah.
Cobra like he did against the Bears.
Yeah. Speaking of sicko behavior, what's the over/under on center puking on balls here? Is it 1.5, 2.5?
whoa. You get put on a watch list. You put that in your browser history, Jimmy.
Man, no, I'm into that. Anyway,
This is the kind of convo you get at 2 hours and 15 minutes.
heck yeah.
John came on at the right time.
Welcome to the witching hour of this show.
Total 37.5 on this. I'm leaning on the under 37.5. Giants at the Browns. We're all on Caroline's Cleveland team here, Jimmy.
Woo! She appreciates it.
I lean on the spread. I'm not super confident on 6.5, but the Giants also suck, just like the Titans. So.
But here's the thing: Deshaun Watson's going to do something stupid as hell that's going to make this closer than it should be, like he did against the Jaguars by throwing the ball while getting sacked to give him extra time. What a moron!
Yeah, you mean in game or off the field? Like,
we're not going to talk about
it. Also, what's intriguing?
I was right on that same too, Logan.
Yeah,
I think what's intriguing about the Browns is their use of Jameis Winston in short yardage QB sneak situations. I think it's
Can he start? Just let my boy Jameis, who
let him cook,
who when described calls plays in the huddle like he's telling everyone a secret. I love that story because I could just imagine Jameis getting in like, all right, guys, QB sneak on one.
The best part is that it's been corroborated. Like, it's just not one guy's opinion of how he calls the huddle.
Absolutely doing this.
But yeah, I don't see the path here for the Giants. Like, what is the path to like winning against this team? I just don't see it. What's been most frustrating for me with the Giants is that, like, I thought their defense was going to be better, and it hasn't been.
Their line's good. It's just everything else has been kind of underwhelming. I think Brian Burns is kind of underwhelming in the first 2 weeks. But to be fair, they're asking too much of that defense because their offense can't stay on the field. There's one or two extra possessions per half that this defense shouldn't be on the field if they had a competent offense. But the fact is they don't.
Well, and now Brian Burns is dinged up. He's coming into this game with a groin injury now, questionable. So.
So if he plays, he's not 100%. If he doesn't, then you're losing a big asset.
And also,
I have a prediction on this game, guys.
What is it?
I think Drew Lock gets his first snaps.
Whoa.
He's healthy, right? I know he was a little banged up, but he's healthy now, right?
Dude, you're Seattle Seahawk boy. He's gonna.
And my reasoning behind this is that Giants' offensive line is booty cheeks, and that Browns defensive line is going to hunt. I don't want any individual playing this game to get hurt ever, but I could see Daniel Jones going down or he gets benched and we finally see Drew Lock because Giants have not looked pretty at all. That offense, you guys have already said it, like booty cheeks.
Either way, you're predicting the end of the Daniel Jones era because once Drew Lock gets in under center, it's over. He's not letting go.
Well, Drew Lock's got to come in at some point. They got the Seahawks game in 3 weeks, so like he's got to play in that one, right?
And I don't know about that, but also remember like the injury guarantee Daniel Jones has. Like the Giants, if they look this horrible, like what is the incentive to keep him out there and maybe he gets hurt and you got to pay that,
I don't know.
John, are you running from the grind? Or are you running from the Drew Lock revenge game?
In
I would love to see him.
John, what's the over-under on the suit-up Drew Lock celebration in this season? How many? 2.5?
In the season?
In the season, 2.5 suit-ups?
I don't know. I think if that's the over-under, I'm going over.
Whoa!
I think Drew Lock starts more games than Daniel Jones does this year.
All right.
I think also back to Logan's defensive point for the Giants. I think what's also been surprising for them is their lack of run defense. Like they got blasted last week by Brian Robinson, 133 yards, I think it was for him. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is running the ball as well, but I was surprised Deshaun Watson actually ran quite a bit last week against Jacksonville. So maybe he's finally getting back to Texans, like scrambling Deshaun Watson kind of play. Maybe not, but we'll see if Pierre Strong, Deontay Foreman, and who's the other dude?
Jerome
The
Ford.
other back, Jerome Ford. That's the guy. See if those guys can take advantage of the Giants defense. 38.5 is the total here. Leaning on the under. Bears at the Colts.
Whoa.
Let's get it, Chicago Bears. This one's all about the Colts defense for me. I think DeAndre Swift's going to have his best game as a Bear to this point. No DeForest Buckner for Indianapolis. I think they're going to run all over. They're going to follow the Packers game plan, and it's going to be a good day on the ground for Swift and Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, I got to push back on that because you're giving way too much credence to the Bears offensive coordinator and Matt Eberflus. They don't use Herbert. They don't use the run game. They don't even use rollout play action for Caleb Williams. I think you give way too much credence to the Bears offense being smart.
Okay, that's fine. I got more Bears comments. Like if you want me to,
go for it, man. I got to push back on that. I think you just.
I'm right there with Jimmy personally. Seattle was sad to see Shane Waldron go for a reason.
Offensively, I like for Chicago in this one. Juju Brent's out for the year, I believe, for the Colts, right? No Keenan Allen for Chicago. That's a tough one. Looking for Roma Dunze to step up here with DJ Moore. I'm not confident in the Colts secondary. And on the opposite side, Eberflus's defense has been playing like a top 10 squad. They did a great job against CJ Stroud and the Houston offense on Sunday night there, limiting them to field goals a bunch of the possessions. And we just saw Anthony Richardson throw 3 picks against Green Bay last week. So not super confident in that. And I think the Bears have a solid front seven, and you're not throwing anything on Jalen Johnson. So,
yeah, I'm yielding the remainder of my time to John to hear his Shane Waldron takes. Like you do whatever you need to do, buddy.
So he's so frustrating. He will try and force screens when they're not open. He will refuse to run the ball unless it's like on like second and long. And the dude like doesn't know how to like scheme up throws in the middle. You know, he uses tight ends too much. He's just. I will say this, and I don't know if this has happened because I haven't watched Bears games at the beginning. He does have a very good job at starting scripts, so they might start off awesome, but he cannot do in-game transitions or like. He cannot reassess or change his game plan because once he gets off that script, then it's Jover.
I think the biggest evidence is that like the Seahawks offense has looked immeasurably better this season too through 2 weeks. Like, yeah.
Well, that's fine. That's fine, John. The Bears might only need 7 points to win this game. So
another thing about Anthony, I know the Bears defenses look good. But Anthony Richardson, I know I might just be like falling in love with him because of his throwing ability. He 1 or 2 stupid, amazing plays, and that's a touchdown. You know?
3 picks last week, just saying. 43
it's high risk, it's high reward.
43.5. I am leaning on the under. Not playing it though. All right, 405 slate. We got 2 games. Panthers at the Raiders. Yeah. It's 6 points for Vegas, and more than likely they cover. I'm saying I'm not actually taking it because we don't know what Andy's going to do. But I will say, though, Andy Dalton's lone start last year, 361 yards, 3 touchdowns against John's Seahawks, which they won. The Seahawks won the game, but he just left right before
he knew it was coming.
The Red Rifle was roasting the Seahawks defense last year. Oh, there he is. Oh, John, you just missed my Red Rifle roast of the Seahawks defense from last season.
I was in my phone for my laptop.
So that's why I'm not taking the Raiders spread, because we don't know what it's going to look like with Andy.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers offense looks functional finally, though.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't mean they're going to win, but this could be a closer game than people think.
Well, they need to run the ball. Like, I don't understand why they haven't been able to run the ball. And I really have no like how do we improve the run game, because I really don't know why it's been struggling. They don't have like a horrendous offensive line. Like, they have some talent there, especially they freaking paid over $150 million for the 2 guards. So I don't know. I don't know why they can't run the ball. Defensively, I think they're going to get boat raced. I think Minshew is going to be Washington State Minshew, and he's going to throw to Devontae and Brock Bowers, and they're going to throw it all over the field.
I would love that. Brock Bowers is my starting tight end in fantasy. If anyone wants Kyle Pitts, he's up for he's on the trade block.
You missed it earlier. I'm starting Minshew in a league because of Herbert injury and Tua injury. So, 39.5 is the total. I like the over for some reason. Other 405 slate, Dolphins at the Seahawks. Go ahead, John. 4.5 here for Seattle.
Well, thanks, guys. I was I didn't know if I was going to have to argue with Rusty again for choosing against Seattle this week.
If it was Tua, potentially.
Honestly, it's funny you say that, because and there's no like actual analysis here. It's just PTSD in this next statement. I would feel more comfortable playing Miami if Tua played, just due to Seattle's history against backup quarterbacks. It's not great. Now, maybe that's different because it's a new coach. And what's amazing about this coaching staff is that they can, unlike Shane Waldron, adapt. Last week against the Patriots, and week 1 against the Broncos, the first half, they didn't look too great, but they figured their stuff out. And by the second half, pulled it together and had a better showing in both games. And that's something that's really exciting to see compared to the last few years. The last few years, it would just be stubbornly hard to watch after the first quarter and a half, usually. I think Gino's slinging it. My biggest and on the defense, they're doing very well together. I have 2 large concerns in this game that are a little more analysis focused rather than just the PTSD of backup quarterbacks. One is Seattle's offensive line has looked horrendous the last 2 weeks, with the exception of Charles Cross. Charles Cross, all-pro season incoming. You heard it here first. The rest of the offensive line, though, it's a lot of question marks. George Fant looks like he's going to be out this Sunday as well. Connor Williams has looked better, but he's still coming off that injury. This kind of feels like a preseason for him still. So hopefully those guards will figure out how to mesh together. I don't want to sound too harsh, like I'm playing the game myself. I'm not. But it hasn't looked good. My second concern is, can our corners and our safeties tackle? And when I say that, I really mean Reek Woolen. As good as Reek Woolen is in coverage, his soft spot is tackling and putting his head down in the run game. So Miami has speedy guys. If they just get the ball into space on Reek's side, make him make a tackle in space, that if I'm Miami, that's who I'm targeting. But I still chose Seattle just because I think they're a better roster, and Mike McDonald will know how to beat a backup quarterback this time.
Well, I can tell you that I'm not worried about the Seahawks offensive line because Dolphins don't have any pass rushers. And for 2, Skylar Thompson very well might be the worst backup quarterback in the league, except for Easton Stick. So yeah, I'm not worried about Seattle. I think they're going to cover 4.5. This is the game I'm not worried about the most, and then I will be worried when the Dolphins either cover or win. 41.5 is the total here, leaning on the under. 425 slate. We got 3 games. Ravens at the Cowboys. It's all purple for us. I never mind. I was gonna go somewhere. But yeah, Baltimore's 1-point favorite in Dallas. Cowboys just lost their first home game last week after winning 16 straight. And I think this is a desperation win for Baltimore. Like, they need it. This is the first time they're 0-2 since 2015. And obviously the percentages keep going down once you keep losing games in terms of playoffs. So it's a must win for the Ravens. I think they've played well enough to win the first 2 weeks, and it's just 1-score games. They're 0-2. So
I also, and this might just be Cowboy hate, but it's more so John Harbaugh love. I think he's too good of a coach to allow his team to go 0-3. And again, there's not much analysis or depth in that, but I feel like a lot of times you just trust in certain coaches, you know?
I don't have the stats to back it up, but I would have to think John Harbaugh's never been 0-3.
Yeah, and you went on Coach Love. I'm going to go on Coach Hate here. Mike Zimmer and his defense.
Wow.
Can't figure out mobile quarterbacks. I watched him for years. He's so old school of offense that he thinks all QBs sit in the pocket and do nothing. And even with Derek Carr, who's like that, he got smoked. I don't think he's going to be able to contain a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, I just haven't been impressed with what the Cowboys have done defensively so far this season. And that's like a huge part of like how they've been winning the last few seasons is pretty good defenses. So yeah, I like the Ravens to be able to get back on track here.
I think the Cowboys are the biggest frauds in the NFL.
When are they not?
Their offense just, dude, like their offense, they can't run the ball on offense. So they're so one-dimensional. And I think if you cover CeeDee Lamb, like, yeah, Brandon Cooks is going to hurt you a little bit every once in a while, but they don't have really other options outside of Cooks or outside of CD. So, yeah, I think Baltimore, while they gave up a lot to Brock Bowers and Devontae down the stretch last week, I think they're going to be able to hold it down against Dallas. 47.5 is the total here. I'm leaning on the under. I am taking Baltimore -1 though. Lions at the Cardinals split.
Oh,
Splitsville. Jimmy, John, y'all are on the Lions. Logan and I are on the Cards. And I like Arizona +3 at home. I've been impressed. John's been leading the Cardinals rush the first few weeks. Now he's jumping ship. But, yeah, I mean, this is going to be, I think, one of the best games of the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is going to be a high-flying offense game. I do believe in a Jared Goff resurgence. I think Jared Goff just got off to a really tough start. But I think Jared Goff can come out and have a pretty good game here. I think this is one of those games that might end like 41-38.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't believe the Lions will lose 2 in a row, is all I'll say here.
Yeah, this is a heat check for me. I think that Kyler Murray has been like severely underrated.
Oh yeah.
The last couple seasons, because of injuries, because he's been out, because people haven't really seen him. I think he reestablishes himself this season as kind of a top 10 QB. I think he's going to show out in this game. On the flip side, I also think that, it's been interesting. Like, we haven't seen this Lions offense be as potent as they were last year.
Mhm.
And I think they're kind of missing like another playmaker come to the forefront.
Well, get freaking 87 the ball, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
I was just going to say
Laporta has to get the fucking ball.
Yeah. I don't know how that went under the radar this offseason, but yes, I second that as someone with a lot of Sam Laporta shares in fantasy.
Mhm.
But like, I think defensively, like, I think Arizona, like, they're going to have Jonathan Gannon. I think he's going to have enough answers to keep stymieing them a little bit, to keep frustrating them offensively. So yeah, I'm going with the Cards.
I'm going with Detroit. I have led the Arizona Charge the first few weeks. I think I'm so excited for this game. This is in the afternoon window, right?
Yep.
Yes.
It's such a bummer because I'm going to be watching the Seahawks game at the same time. But
start 20 minutes earlier, so
yeah, I'll get a little bit of a start,
And if you have YouTube TV, you can watch 4 games at one time. #ad.
Yeah, I guess when it comes to the Seahawks, though, I'm just going to watch it straightforward, full attention span. Have a drink because I have a heart attack every game, maybe.
Dude, drink's going to only make it worse. You gotta stay sober.
This game's going to be so exciting to watch. I just feel like Detroit, I tend to give a lot of credence to the coaching, like I said, with John Harbaugh, but I feel like here it has been weird watching the Lions offense. It hasn't looked as ground and pound and strong and as it did last year. So I think last week was a little bit, or these first 2 weeks, even though they're 1-1, has been a little bit of a shock. And I think this is the week that Detroit can get back on track. Arizona's been playing very well defensively, but I still don't think they have as many dudes in the front seven. And I think Detroit, when it just comes to matchups, if they play to their capability, will be able to dominate up front. I am very curious to see how Marvin Harrison Jr. does against these young Detroit secondary. So I could very easily, I think this is the pick I feel the least comfortable about.
Highest of the week, 51.5. Where are you going, Jimmy?
Over.
Yeah, I'm not playing it. That's too high for my blood there. The last 425 game here, 49ers at the Rams. Niners getting 6.5. And yeah, I mean, Logan's got it.
Yeah. My tweet of the week
in this game again?
was they're going to be playing this game in an MRI machine at this rate. It's just a bummer too, dude, because like this was supposed to be a pretty good game, I think, in my opinion. Specifically, me and Rusty talked about a pre-show. Like, I was high on the Rams coming into the season specifically because of their O-line. I loved what they did in the offseason, kind of retooling that group, and they literally don't have one right now. And on the flip side, the front seven of the 49ers is one of the best in the league. I honestly don't think it's going to be very close. I don't know. Sean McVay, just protect Matthew Stafford at all costs. Like, make sure you have someone in the backfield who can pick up some stuff. Do a lot of chipping tight ends and crap like that.
7-man protection all day.
Mm-hmm.
We're only running two receiver routes.
Yeah, I think this one's going to get ugly. For everything Logan just said. 49ers offense is beat up a lot too, but just the lack of anybody on the Rams offense. I pray for Matthew Stafford that he doesn't get out of the injury report.
Hey man, I'm a Robinson fantasy owner. I might be cooking today.
Well, and also I think it's the Rams defense also doesn't have anyone. They haven't been able to stop the run in either of their two games against the Lions or the Cardinals. And we've seen Jordan Mason go over 100 yards rushing in both of his games. So I think the 49ers are healthy where the Rams aren't. And that's what's going to kill them.
Mhm.
I still can't believe how this offseason people were still thinking the Rams defense, losing arguably the best defensive player of all time in Aaron Donald, was just going to not skip a beat.
Well, I think it wouldn't have been as bad, but why they traded Ernest Jones, I have no clue.
That was a very odd trade.
Yeah.
Maybe they knew it wasn't going to happen.
43.5 here. I'm leaning on the over. Just, I don't know. It's weird, but yeah. Sunday Night Football, Chiefs at the Falcons. Yeah, I mean, I think the Chiefs might be the. I don't have the list of 2-0 team. Well, okay, so maybe not the most questionable, but I think they're not the most confident. I don't think they're the most confident 2-0 team. It's been weird, I think, for Kansas City the first two games. Winning one score affairs against two AFC powerhouses, really, but at the same time, it hasn't looked like the Chiefs per se, I think. I don't know if that's a good
it's I would say probably the ugliest 2-0 team. Like, I get
other than Steelers.
probably, but even Steelers, you could say like you've had very dominant defensive games. Yeah. Well, with the Chiefs, it's like, man, it's like, ugh. This is one of those games that even if they win, but if like it's like a 24-21 game, I think the question marks are still out, and you're like, how are the Chiefs going to be the first team to three-peat? How are they going to do it? They just haven't blown teams away. They haven't put teams away. Their offense hasn't been like, dominant as it has been for past 5 years. Like, if they have another win where they have to rely on their defense having a great stop or rely on just questionable calls going their way, and it's like, all right, like, how real are they?
Back-to-back primetime Kirk, by the way.
Kirk O'Chain's coming out.
Scary.
Dude, could you imagine? Honestly, if he comes out and wins this game, we're starting to have conversation about the Falcons.
I still don't think Kirk is looking that impressive. Honestly, the Falcons are one bad play call by Philly away from being 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Chiefs don't look that great this year. Like you said, as a 2-0, but they also didn't look too great in the regular season last year and won enough games to make the playoffs. So as long as Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are there, I don't see how you can not favor them in most of their games.
I 100% agree with everything you're saying, John. Like, for me now, the Chiefs have like earned the benefit of the doubt where like until they start losing again, like I'm not betting against them.
My thing with the Chiefs is the same thing I said with the Lions. Get 87 the ball. Like, why has Travis Kelce not been that involved in the offense through two games?
Their 87's washed.
Leave the game before the game leaves you.
Yeah, I mean, I've
be a family man.
I've been shocked that Travis Kelce has not been that involved through two games for Kansas City. With Hollywood Brown out for the year, essentially. That was supposed to be one of their top weapons. Rashid's been eating, and Xavier Worthy's been pretty decent so far. So, yeah, I think in order to look like really solid, I think Travis Kelce has to get more involved. And it's going to be interesting to see what they look like now with no Pacheco. Carson Steele, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Give me Samaje Perine.
Jimmy, where's Carson Steele from? The Ball State. Technically, he got drafted out of UCLA. His best seasons were with Ball State, though. He didn't really play well with the Bruins. But anyways, Yeah, so 46.5 is the total. I'm leaning on the under. 820 NBC and Peacock. Best bets of the week. Here we go. I'm rolling. 4-1-1. I'm living life. Great. Let's try to keep this thing going because it has not been great the last 2 years, my overall record. So we're going to keep it going here. I was back and forth. I originally had Packers +3 in the Texans spot right there. I think it was in the Texans spot. I had them. But then it went to +1.5, and I wasn't as confident because it's tough to cover 1.5 if you lose. So I went back to the Texans. I really like -2. I think that's a low spread. I think they can cover that, even if it is a close game. Kaimi Fairbairn has been great so far. So if they need to, walk it off with a field goal and cover 2. John, I like the Seahawks. I know I have 5.5. That actually, I get 4.5. I'm just saying the line has changed. It's 4.5 now, so I get an extra point. I really like them to cover against the Dolphins. I wouldn't even care if it's 5.5 anyways. I think they should be able to win handily against Skylar Thompson. And the 49ers, I get a 0.5 point as well on them because it's down to 6.5. So, we've all kind of been consensus that 49ers are going to win that one pretty easily. And actually, I have on my Excel sheet 4 for Seattle, so that's what I'm going to stick with. Benefit of the doubt. Lock standings, Jimmy, undefeated still, 2-0. We all got one. Logan and I got one back, our first win. John, you're down in the cellar, 0-2 there.
I've always had the worst luck in Survivor leagues. So this isn't the least surprising thing to me ever. If whoever I choose to lock, that fan base should feel pretty good. No matter what the odds are.
So you got the Colts wrong last week. Jimmy, Logan, and I, we were all on the Chargers against the Panthers. So.
I wonder how many of us are just going to stick with the Panthers opponents for the rest of the year.
That's sick right there if you do that.
Like
you're doing this week, Jimmy.
Yeah!
Taking the easy.
always works, baby.
Well, eventually the odds makers are going to make the spread too high, and then you can't pick them. Anyway,
that day comes.
John, I am concerned. I am very concerned that you and I are on the Seahawks this week. I'm concerned about my pick because of your pick. But so we are on the Seahawks against the Dolphins. Jimmy's on the Raiders against the Panthers, and Logan, you are on the Bucks against the Broncos. Dog standings. Logan is undefeated.
Whoa.
4-0. 2 outrights so far for Logan this season. You got the Cowboys in week 1 at the Browns. You got the Browns week 2 at the Jags. So first home dog here for Logan this week. But so I went 2-0, as did Jimmy. We were on the Bucks last week, getting a win in Detroit. And John 0-2, the Rams +1 at the Cardinals last week. So I'm leading Jimmy in second place by a half a game. I got that push with the Broncos week 1, give me a tie. And then John, you're down to Logan by 3 games. Jimmy's down by 2. This week it's a split set here. Jimmy, you and I are together again, buddy.
Yeah.
Packers +3 at the Titans. Why? Because the Titans suck.
Titans suck, man.
And John and Logan, y'all are on the Cardinals. Logan picked with me on the Cards. John, this is back-to-back weeks. He's picking a team as his dog when he picked the other team in the regular picks.
John, you're crazy, man.
Crazy is how I like to live a life on the edge,
Yeah. I'm going to tell the people that hired you about that. See how they feel.
I think what's interesting.
He's literally the Joker. What are we doing?
What are we doing here?
What's interesting is
funny.
what's interesting is that both spreads are 3. We got threes. Threes are wild here. Yeah, that's a show for today, guys. Quite a long one, but we had a lot of people on for first time in a bit. So appreciate everyone for sticking it out for quite the long haul. But next week, NFL Week 4, get you all your game recaps and game previews, and then we'll roll into another awesome weekend of football at FAA Podcasts on Instagram and X, FAA_bets on X as well. FAApodcast.com is a website. Check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. See y'all on Monday.